again. Man, we caught up in a maze, it ain't even no cheese at the end. Man, our spirits all scattered, looking like damn bees in the wind. If you go against Uriel, best believe he's gonna win, beginning to end. Yeah, came down to this world, now I'm all mixed up. Cause it ain't really no direction that I got a sense of. Yo, holla man, baby, I'll be up in spaceships. Cause I can get 2 fine fucks with the sun created. The fire and the flame got you niggas going up to Satan. Cause you trying to go to heaven, but you always fucking waiting. Your whole life is a routine, you stuck in a pattern. Jesus said he never knew me, I'm not even mad at him. He's not on my caliber, he act like a demon too. Doing the same thing over and over again, that's what demons do. Jesus who? A nigga in the matrix as well. On that rainbow waters, hope my spaceship will sail. All I see is these patterns. All I see is these patterns. Tell me how we supposed to get out now. Tell me how we supposed to get out. Now are we in a maze? All I see is these patterns. All I see is these patterns. Now tell me how we supposed to get out now. Tell me how we supposed to get out. Now are we in a maze? I don't know. Feel like this is Batman running from ghosts. Oh, I don't know. I feel like this is Batman, I'm in a hole. Oh, I don't know. Just think about the past, man, should let it go. Oh, I don't know. God damn, dollar, for the show. God damn, it's a vision that I came back from. It's people, places, and things I had to get detached from. These oversouls run spirits and they about to trap some. You niggas living life like you really never had one. Addicted, like a fiend. When I was a son, I looked like a bean. Lightning streams, yeah, flight supreme. When I admit like it looked like a dream. All I see is these patterns. All I see is these patterns. Tell me how we supposed to get out now. Tell me how we supposed to get out. Now are we in a maze? All I see is these patterns. All I see is these patterns. Now tell me how we supposed to get out now. Tell me how we supposed to get out. Now are we in a maze?
You know what I'm saying? Then you got that table that is stable, and I bet you don't. You know what I'm saying? Look, check this out. Now, today's live stream is going to be all about why you experience frustrations and things of that nature within your life, aka opposite. Now, I got a video about this on the Dolo the Pilot Man channel. You know what I'm saying? Going back to your earth sign, but we're going to break it down a little deeper in all planets and all zodiacs so you can know the specific example as a correspondence when you're experiencing rejection, opposition, or frustration or blockages in your life to a certain degree. And if you know how to deal with these energies a lot more sufficiently, therefore you won't be experiencing blockages. You'll be in a situation where you could bulldozer right through that individual energy or multiple energy or whatever that you are trying to reach as a goal, and you are experiencing stumble blocks ahead of the way. And a stumble blocks in the esoteric world plays out in the 1, 2, and 3rd dimension as a person, place, or thing that feels like just them being in your life is preventing you from doing something. So you have to understand that too. And a lot of times we add our own allegories on what we think other people are blocking us for. And that might not necessarily be the case. So doing this self-evaluation and the shadow work allows you to know what you're not doing. And it will also allow you to know what you are doing that's actually beneficial. And if you put more energy into that direction, then you will start to see more of the outcome as confirmation that you're on the right track. Because a lot of times we get distracted based upon the peer pressures of the world, individuals around us, based on their expectations and things of that nature. And it be a small percentage level that God be showing us within our experiences that be confirming this is a path. And we're good at it every time we start to do that little area that's considered the path. But life happens. We got to get a job. We got a peer pressure. We got an expectation. So however the case may be, a lot of times that end up taking more of the percentage level of you participating and the little levels that you might be unaware of, but it is confirmation. But it's so small on a percentage level that life is forcing you to pay attention to other things and put that in the back seat. There's a lot of times why you hear even musicians talk about the ones who like blew up off 1 or 2 songs and things of that nature. 9 times out of 10, they was in a circumstance where they didn't even give a fuck about that. They threw that in the back seat due to the fact of life hitting them at the moment. and shit like that. And they probably got a lot of people saying, man, you need to stay in the studio. You need to do this. Or girl, you need to stay in the studio. You need to do this. But life was hitting them and other type things, dealing with attention and other circumstances that we are in inside being this body, being a spirit. So a lot of times we get distracted. And when it is time for us to regroup, due to the fact of the events that have been created based upon the distractions, a lot of times there's always a shadow priest, always a misunderstanding, always mixed with the wrong crowd, didn't see it at from the jump. So it's always a situation that play out like that. And then once you're in that peacefully time, whether the outcome played out as you being in jail, you being isolated, you being cheated on, you being in a circumstance that you have to reponder and stuff like that. Then that's when you will start to see the little small things, aka you don't know what you got until it's gone, aka the little small things you was getting confirmation on, and now you're going to start to ponder on that line of reasoning and train of thought like, man, I should have kept doing that, or girl, I should have kept doing that. So for the most part, for you could prevent you even get leading into these negative situations, to even for life and God to sit you down, for you to ponder over those moments. You could put yourself into a position where you can see that from a mile away and prevent those moments. See what I'm saying? And that's what this live stream going to be about. I'm going to get deep into it. 12 minutes in. But, you know, so that's how long this is going to be on, too. And we'll be back on the Ratchet channel tonight for open panel, too. As far as channel building and stuff like that for the males, for the females and men in the soul group, as far as them having their creative gifts and talents. But other than that, you know, it's just all about helping each other with the mind and stuff like that. And, you know, going through circumstances and situations, a lot of times we can understand the alchemy of these things and it'd be very simple. Now, like I said, astrology is a tool. It's not necessarily the end all and be all when it comes to psychology and understanding the human psyche and being sensitive to the emotions and the feelings, being sensitive to the senses. I call that what was being a sensei, because for the most part, when you hear these words, if you don't understand how linguistics and wording and things of that nature is made, you won't understand what space that word is putting you in to be able to observe that area, to be able to practice it for yourself. And for you to see that it's something that you're already doing anyway. So it ain't what you do, it's how you do it. And it ain't someone taking your power. It's you actually not utilizing it because that wasn't a center focus based upon the distraction of the upbringing and the indoctrination that they have us in. So it's not really our fault, but to a certain degree, it is our fault. So it's based upon how long you've been here as a spirit to develop that wisdom and awareness that you can remember, and then you can relay that message to others. And in that aspect, you're not teaching nobody nothing. You're just reminding everybody what they already know. You just may remember a little faster than them. So that'd be the only time you can add on to you teaching someone. But in the spiritual sense, there's no ego in the spiritual world. So it always have to be an unbiased equilibrium for you to even have the right full perspective message that can relate to all walks of life anyway, and things of that nature, which that's the highest degree of God, the highest degree of contradiction, when it's not the wrong version. It ain't what we do, is how we do it. So in this aspect, yeah, I taught you, but I taught you how to remember. So I just reminded you, and therefore that take the ego out of it. When you're going to the spiritual world, you shield. I mean, you fade away all that fire cloth that was around you as a spirit, and you get to go naked there, and you don't actually have to thank me, but we was a team being aware of each other for us to even create the mechanism for us to even know who taught who or what. And who reminded who, and we reminded each other. So it's all equal on all bases when we all down here even helping each other. In the spiritual world, it's just all equal, like period. But for the most part, when we all get there and stuff like that, and you get there on your own time, you're able to bring down some mysterious creativity down here, and you end up appearing to be unique. Then you could transmute the characters and the traits that they be having all of us play to participate in a world, and you could transmute it for yourself, and you could not care because you could spark your own light at this point because you're doing the same thing that they're doing. You know what I'm saying? So keep that in mind too, because it's all about building a character, your mind. But they got control of the 4th, 5th, and 6th dimensional world because that's what those Babylon bricks is built on. Their traits, their virtues. So they be going in, building adrenaline and stuff like that, encapsulating these feelings and thoughts and giving them names, and then creating world government systems for y'all to participate in these things. And then they have all y'all playing out a tarot card role, right? And this is how they create necromancy, because when you, as a spirit, be in the space that they want you to be in, and then you don't use your own mind, you spark the energy, aka your own mind, for whatever shape and form they created, image they created, right? This be a character based on the people that been running the world and how they act and things of that nature. So it's a small form of necromancy where they have all y'all praying, aka acting out a character, and the more y'all cloud formulate, that character is still able to run the world, like Lucifer, El, Ptah, or these ancient ideas that they created golems out of to control the world, and the many offsprings begetting sons that original thought and feeling have accumulated. For an example, if me and you come up with an idea, right, about trying to create a language or a system or something like that, that'd be a father. Then all the subsidiaries of the language, like all the words, the spellings in it, will be all the begotten sons and the daughters of the sons of it, and things of that nature. And for the most part, these are characters deriving us creating characters out of the different seasonal transitions and seeing the different animal characters come out and the animals natures that come out of us during these different transitions. You don't have the same desires during winter time than you have during summertime. You don't have the same desires during springtime than you have and fall time. And you could say astrology is pseudo because you don't understand the esoteric religious concept of it, right? Why do it's as simple as you not being lost in life and understanding each moment. When winter is over and spring getting ready to come, by that as above reaction, as without, you end up experiencing an as within, as below reaction. Oh, it's getting ready to get warm. Oh, I'm about to go outside. You just received the thought. But you don't understand that's what they're talking about at an early time when language was very primitive. You know what I'm saying? This was our first way of looking at things as entertainment, our visions, the skies, and stuff like that. This is the first language. You know what I'm saying? You don't feel the same going into spring and going into summer. This is as above, so below, first context. If you don't understand how to go outside before you go on Google, this may be your problem. And shout out to everybody on the Little Pilot Man channel. We 12 minutes in, so hit the link in the description on the other page so you can continue listening and things of that nature. And we'll be back on this page later on tonight with Open Panel and being ratchet. And I see they messing with both of my views. They messing with both of my views on that one and this one. So they like follow. So at this point, it's not even about you having a new channel or not. They just watching individuals now. But since this channel isn't demonetized or anything of that nature, and I ain't gonna give them a reason either, that's as best they can do. I'm saying? So hopefully they do some stuff that they make a mistake. You know what I'm saying? Because they can make a mistake and be more on that check too. You know what I'm saying? Real stuff. So yeah. So I gotta hurry up and start building shit. I mean building stuff and correlations, instant coil and candlesticks. So yeah. So understanding circumstances out here and stuff like that, and understanding wording, right? If you don't know how to transmute these words and stuff like that, this is how the witchcraft or the spell get used against you. And you will get placed into a situation where you're talking ill will on yourself and you think you're just having a regular discussion with your family, with your friends, with your associates. And these words, if you don't know how to reflangle it, if you don't know what you're saying, you'll be saying a whole bunch of stuff that actually get ready to accumulate as events in your life that hold you back. So it's always about being aware each second, each moment, and things of that nature, so you can understand how you are accumulating circumstances. Because a lot of times we be manifesting more negative scenarios in our life than positive. And we be having to figure out, why is it like that? It's like that because we give more energy to things we don't want to happen to us, to things we want to happen to us. And when we get into that mind frame, that cloud, that fart cloud of things we want to happen to us, we develop a whole bunch of devaluing energies there, a whole bunch of energies of we might not deserve that there, a whole bunch of other stuff like that ain't got nothing to do with it, that really is not a large percentage level like it's supposed to be. When if it's something that you see or aware of in your mind that you don't want to happen to you, you would sit there and ponder over that all day and night. Give all your seconds and minutes to that energy. Thank you so much for the donation. Dolo always been poppy. Real shit, real stuff. You'll give all your seconds, minutes, and hours to that energy. Right? And you fail to realize you're using your mind for wrong things. You're using your power for the wrong things, because there's no school or there was no one on earth to teach you that that's your power. And then anytime you're manifesting your power and you get that same energy back and it's on a negative side, There's no one to tell you that that was a transition. And every time you get online, you have a whole bunch of people that virtual signal. So you can't have that kind of discussion with them because you know the first thing that come out their mouth is, oh, that's pseudo. Here's a Quran. Oh, that's pseudo. Join Kemet. Oh, that's pseudo. Learn science. And this is the science. It's always about learning how to heal the anatomy. So any term of chakra, kundalini, these are just different terms for what science and biology is doing and being in certain mind states that represent the one that organ that it been there on. And you have to understand where you at spiritually. For an example, you could spiritually be in a low space as a spirit. So the awareness you develop is going to be mental forms of either desires, materializing, structure, or sex. Then once you accumulate a lot of thoughts and feelings, water cycles there, you emit a light, an imagination, how to make that come to be. That mind bend in on itself and become blood cells and adrenaline. And then your genitals become aroused, male or female. You know what I'm saying? She become wet, man become hard. Other than that, it doesn't matter. We're creating fluid. And you have to be in a certain space to be aware, create that mind, the awareness. And if you in there long enough, a spirit be inside that mind and it develop more thoughts and feelings, begotten sons and daughters, and it accumulate as into material, fleshly fluid. Now, you don't always have to do it in your lower space. You could do it up here. You could do it up here. This what allows you to have a hunger for knowledge. You know what I'm saying? Food for thought type circumstances. Because spirits eat stars, which is mentalities. So as a spirit, when you up in here in this space, and you start to become aware of things like the crown chakra, if you want to say that pseudo, or the first eye, third eye chakra that bend in on itself to become your frontal lobe, your brain, your tongue, your pineal gland, and things of that nature, right? When as a spirit, when you add on to more mentalities of how you made that organ in the first place, being in this space, you have a hunger for knowledge. You start to get aroused to want to learn more. And if you're trying to focus on something too much, what happens? Too much blood rush, because you develop too much blood there. And what happens? You have a headache, or you end up becoming frustrated and things of that nature. So you have to lessen what you're focusing on a little bit and give it a break. You know, in colleges and stuff like that, when y'all taking notes, and put y'all into that space. But I'm just giving y'all, deficiations when people want to listen to knowledge like this and claim it's pseudo, where science and spirituality was one thing back in the day. Then once fools wasn't able to utilize their own mind and pray at the right time of the day transitions, if you're going to use that term of prayer within their allegory of it and things of that nature, we see people lost in the world, fighting over these things, thinking they know better, thinking these things are going to come back and save them from the people who created these words and meanings. And people don't know how to heal themselves anymore. People don't know how to create a community no more. People don't know how to create realization anymore. You know what I'm saying? Communion anymore. And that's the actual aspect of it. So that's what you're only learning in any ancient knowledge or any science today. You just don't understand it from that starting point. So you may be lost in some of the baggage that they put on it to keep the sheep category and categories. So that's not to say all science is bad, but it's to say that you have to be privy to how it could be used. And if you're not in a certain position where your comprehension skills is above average and you can observe things from the right perspective, you could be utilizing something from a form of a bias that in actuality you can't argue for or against, which is another form of how they can use science to manipulate you. And it's just not science, it's religion, entertainment, education, and politics. So it's not saying disregard all of these things. It's saying become unbiased so you can know what's beneficial and you can actually be in a position to see how it's being used also in areas that it has no business being used in, and it doesn't make sense. Once it puts you into a position, you can't argue for or against it. So you don't want to be a fool explaining yourself like within a contradiction that some Jesuit created with this intellect with their information that you guys are privy to. You know what I'm saying? All right, but yeah. Now, learning what create frustrating energies in your life. So look, learning the exact energy you're dealing with when you're going through a frustrating or opposition at the moment, right? Now, remember, astrology is just a tool. So, pardon me. So for the most part, this is one of the attributes that you can utilize to be able to spot why you are experiencing this opposition at the moment, why you are experiencing this rejection at the moment. So utilizing astrology, we're going to break down each planet and the ascendant and the sun through Saturn. We're not going to utilize the ancestry planets, the outer planets, right? Because they just hold a little influence. So they're more of generational and things of that nature. And they're technically just the lower octave, which Neptune is the lower octave of Jupiter. Pluto is the lower octave of Mars, and Uranus is the lower octave of Saturn. So just see these things as the old and outdated ways of how they look at Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn, and how these things came to be. Look at it like that. And they made allegories about it. And right now, the current allegory that they're making in today's time, the 21st century, is these are dead stars that's no longer there. But I told you stars are water. So that water current is still there as a water cycle. So anytime you go the distance from reality, as below, as above, that's you going the distance from what you need to be doing down here, and you being too lost in your head. You could become unpractical, ungrounded, and cause a lot of transformations in your life. So that's how you understand the reality of the esoteric astrology, the old spiritual concept of how it's supposed to be perceived, before we started throwing satellites up there and stuff like that. It's all about tracking time periods and why we react during these time periods in that fashion, and learning how to calculate it in such a way where we can know that time period is coming back, so we can create a discipline as below on how to structure ourselves through each of those events. This is why the Bible always speak within the context of the waters above, waters below, and put them in allegories within the context of calling it events. Because events, water density levels crashing on a mass level to emit a light that becomes a desire once it accumulate, and that's the dragon or the fire, or an allegory to the sun. Now, so learning the exact energy you're dealing with when you're going through frustrating or oppositions at the moment, this is what we're getting ready to get into. So for the most part, the ascendant. Now we're going to break down the ascendant and each planet, sun through Saturn, right? And we're going to run them through each zodiac sign. So we're going to go through Aries through Pisces, ascendant through Saturn, and how each of these play out when you're acting out those energies. Because remember, the sun is when you start to express your actions, your wants, and how people see you. Your moon is your reaction, your needs, and how you respond to things. Your Mercury, how you think, communicate, and analyze. Mars, your passions, motivations, desires. Venus, your love matters, the things you're willing to compromise with. Saturn, how you see reality, gain structure in your life, materialize or maternal or structure yourself or organize yourself. Jupiter, how you go through experiences and obtain meanings or reasons from them. Are you aware of what's going on in your surrounding, or when you're dealing with your experiences, or it's hard for you to become aware and you're seen as a fool within these experiences, and it's hard for you to ground your experiences? That's Jupiter and things of that nature. The teacher teach you about life, so you have to go through experiences in order to expand, negative or positive. So as long as you expand through experiences, you're also able to know how to accumulate what not to do again. So even if you're going through negative situations, it's still positive if you're in the water cycle of understanding Jupiter. You know what I'm saying? This is why I say it's lucky. It's not necessarily lucky, but sometimes you could be a fool or make a mistake and stumble and fall into a better way of going about something. Where another person who was scared to try something because they thought they may be appearing as a fool, it might prevent them from experiencing an opportunity that the fool might just stumbled in, and now they can teach other people a wise way of how to go about it. So there's always a yin and yang to all circumstances, but this is the teacher, Jupiter, you know. And when we get into us, and I broke down Saturn. So for the most part, now we're going to break it down within the context of when you experience frustrations in your life. So peep gang. So the ascendant, your personal interest feeling like it's in a cage. So anytime your personal interest, before we break down the signs specifically, this is the narrative of how you're going to experience a rejection, opposition, and what are you actually looking at. And now that you know this is what's going on, then we're going to get into the signs. All right. So anytime you're dealing with your ascendant, personally express yourself, right? Now, when your personal interest feel like it's in a cage and you start to feel like you can't personally express yourself, the sun, anytime you're seen as negative to others. The moon, anytime you feel emotionally rejected or isolated from connection with others. Pardon me. Mercury, anytime you develop disgruntled communications and misunderstandings with others, or hard to develop your own idea to be sure about something. Venus, blockages in your love matters. People, places, and things it's hard to compromise with. And if you compromise too much, it always leads to overindulging first, or not doing things in moderation. Mars, anytime your desires and passions are not met, even if you've been working hard towards something. Jupiter, when you're isolated within your experiences and it's hard for you to learn what's actually going on in your surrounding at the moment. Saturn, when your status, material, maternalizing, and way of organizing is unstructured. Anytime you're experiencing anything of these natures, when you're acting out one of these energies to obtain a desire or live secure in this world, you are experiencing the opposite element of that planet. Anytime you experience any of these events within these areas, right, you are experiencing the opposite element. Now, the opposite element is not the actual zodiac sign and the person. It could be any zodiac sign. It's just the event that was created for you to experience this rejection, opposition, or blockage. The event itself has more of the percentage level of the opposite element of your sign that's in that of that planet that's in your sign, right? So for an example, let's say you start to feel emotionally rejected, because that's what the moon will feel, right? Is the situation that's making you feel emotionally rejected that you're paying attention to is an accumulation of the opposite sign of your moon sign. See what I'm saying? So that is a lesson that you need to learn balance, and it help you with your esoteric hormones, aka your ability to add the divine masculine and feminine together with a tool. So your opposite sign will be your divine masculine for your divine feminine, because your planets is already inside of you as the receiving end, and you're receiving the experience from your opposite element, right, from that planet that you're participating with and being aware of things at the moment. So for the most part, this is a test in your life that you need balance in some way, shape, or form. And people, places, and things is showing you in your life as a confirmation on this is the time to start to obtain balance in some way, shape, or form. So keep that in mind too. Now, when we start to talk about, so when we're getting into understanding each planet and how they react and respond to things of that nature, right? This puts you into a circumstance and a situation where anytime you are experiencing rejection or opposition and things of that nature, you're looking directly at your opposite element, and it's just being filtered through any person, any place, anything. And that's the vessel that the spirit, the space we are all in of God, using at the moment to show you need some adjustments with your spaceship, because the direction you're going in is the wrong direction. So this path that you're experiencing is showing you it's the wrong direction. It's the wrong street in the esoteric world. And you need to turn or stop somewhere and get some. It might be something there that God needs you to see, aka you might got to stop at somewhere in that location to buy something for your spaceship, esoteric currency, give attention to something. And therefore, now that you are aware of something new, you have a new way to go about this new direction you're going in, because now you just reminded that was the wrong path anyway. But you would have not known if you was going down the wrong path if you didn't start seeing certain blockages or start looking at street signs and being like, oh, this is the wrong street, allegorically speaking, for the context that I'm breaking it down in. See what I'm saying? So it's about building your esoteric moral compass, aka you being a pilot or the pilotess up in front of your spaceship, and make sure that your spaceship is going down the right path that leads to things that you want to do in your life. So, now we're going to start to break down all the signs and all the planets. We're going to start off with Aries. Now, Aries ascendant. Now, anytime you feel personally disconnected with the relationships in your life, as far as like your personal relationships, that'll be like family, people you close to, and things of that nature. Anytime you are experiencing that kind of context for Aries ascendant, right? This is because there's a lack of the opposite element, or you are experiencing a head-on collision with the opposite element. There's a lack of personal communication on a relatable basis. And there's too many personal communications that's on negative basis. So, a lot of times Aries ascendants may grow up with negative families and families that like to talk about each other behind each other back and things of that nature, which develop small groupings of separation within the family. And then some people get hit with that energy by default and things of that nature. And then therefore, you might be one of them, being an Aries ascendant, where you might take a person's side, not necessarily knowing why you're taking that side, because you're closer to that family than the other part of the family. And then now it becomes a personal Aries, an individual circumstance for you, and you don't even know why you're seeing a person in that way and things of that nature. And now you're going to start to feel disconnected at times in your own life, where you don't necessarily need to feel personally disconnected. And it's coming from lack of relatable communications and thinking and sharing and combining energies together. And for the most part, when you personally learn how to conduct yourself more in that manner, then you won't experience so much personal isolations in your life to feel like all your desires and passions only can be dealt with alone. Aries sun. Now, with Aries sun, right? We go to the bottom, make sure we ain't got no retardations in here. All right. Hold on, y'all. All right, so for my Aries sun, right? This going to be anytime your passions are seen unrelatable, or it's hard for you to have things that you can do with others, or in some way, or it seems like your actions is being rejected, even if you're doing things out of good intent and it don't seem like what you do is right or whatever like that. 9 times out of 10, what you are experiencing is an unbalanced communication between whoever that you're trying to do that with, or whatever job that you're trying to get, or whatever object that you're utilizing at the moment. There wasn't a sufficient communication or sharing an idea between the two, or between you and the object. You didn't think clearly before you actually obtained that object. You didn't think clearly with the balance between, did you actually want to do that or not when it comes to that area that you went to. Pardon me. You didn't think, or you didn't do sufficient relatable enough communications, or this may be what you be experiencing from another individual. They can't see things from an individual perspective, so this is why you may experience a lot of competitive energy also. Thank you so much for the donation. Exceptional enough to excel. I appreciate that from the bottom of my heart. Real stuff. So a lot of times you may not it's hard for you to connect with others and things of that nature. And anytime you experiencing a rejection and things of that nature, because there was a lack of relatable communication in some way, shape, or form. So your actions is not being seen as relatable due to the fact of whoever you're around feel unbalanced to even participate. So you have to keep that in mind also. Now, Aries moon. Aries moon is anytime your emotions is not considered. So you start to feel like your emotions is not being considered by your family, friends, or people around you. 9 times out of 10, there was a lack. You're experiencing a situation where there was a lack of communicating how people feel in some way, shape, or form to create balance. And it was too many people in their own feelings and not caring how to have reciprocation in some way, shape, or form, or being in a weird space of thinking that everyone should be able to handle their own feelings, regardless of what's said and done. And a lot of times when you start to experience these situations of your emotions not being considered, these are the events that you're experiencing. That you're experiencing the element of Libra in front of you from the moon energy. There's a lack of balance with emotional connection. So what's ever being expressed amongst y'all is not going to be balanced, or it's going to lead to an argument or frustration, or a person is wanting to isolate themselves away from the other. Now, Mercury Aries, right? This is going to be anytime you start to see your passions and ideas are rejected. So anytime you feel like your passions and ideas are rejected, that's on your mind and stuff like that, 9 times out of 10, it's because you may have not developed that passion and idea with another individual. And then you went so deep into developing it yourself, you become subconsciously unaware when you start to communicate it to another individual. It seemed like you're demanding, or it seemed like they should fully go with it without their input. And a person not going to feel comfortable with anything if they don't have any importance with it or feel no reciprocation of the importance in it. So a lot of times when you're not experiencing as an Aries Mercury, your passion and ideas getting supported and things of that nature, is because you didn't put yourself in a position, or you experiencing others in that same magnitude. But this is what you are aware of. The situation that you are experiencing, it was a lack of balance when it comes to communication and sharing an idea, and you're coming across as just having people be a part of your idea, and you're unaware that's how you're coming across based upon the isolation of investing you put into your own mind, just being a Mercury in Aries. You see what I'm saying? So you have to learn balance, especially because we all have to put ourselves out in the world. Now, Mercury and Venus, this is going to be anytime you can't find someone to love what you love. So you have to like settle for less when you start to look at relationships and things of that nature. Anytime you're in that situation, it's because you don't have no reciprocation, or you experience in a situation where you're around others who don't have no form of reciprocation. And the way they look at love is very individualized and things of that nature. So a lot of times when you are experiencing it being hard to find, this is why the relationships you do find, a lot of times it turns into competitive energy, or you being frustrated because you start to feel like this person is on a different path after a while, and then you get bored. But it's because of how you started the relationship. And you need to know the reason why you're reaching a lot of these forks in the road is due to the fact of you need to have more openness to the things that other people love and appreciate, and don't just consider just because someone that you're interested in love and appreciate other things, or other type of people concepts, or other type of people stuff and things of that nature, don't necessarily mean that's a trait for you to make a decision in your mind of this not the type of person I want a relationship with. Because being Aries and Venus, being in that mind state, you will never be able to find a relationship. You'll always be isolated. And any relationship you get in will just be like your sex robot or something like that. You won't connect with them because you'll always be preparing in your mind that it's going to end or something like that. So you always want to be on the end of not the hurt part. So you end up becoming a hurt person that hurt other people. So you gotta be careful of that too. And then the situations how you got hurt in, it was like your fault, because you're just always in that nature. So you got to be careful. Mars and Aries. Anytime you experience your new passions, anytime you are experiencing when you're jumping in your new passions and it's seen as negative by other individuals, or too explosive, too extreme, it's because you're not bringing your passions on the levels of being aware of how other people will see you. And you might be around other people who may not be as extreme or passionate about things, and you may not even be doing anything extreme, but you're just passionate about math or something like that. And you might be around someone who don't care about math like that. Your energy that you put in caring about math will scare another individual and things of that nature. So a lot of times you have to learn how to harness your passion around other individuals, around other individuals with Mars and Aries, and with the balance a little bit, and therefore you won't be reaching so many forks in a row, and be able to develop some support when you do have a passion. Jupiter and Aries. This is going to be your wisdom. Anytime you are experiencing your wisdom seen as foolish, and you always got somebody telling you, I told you so, or you took some advice that you didn't take, or you didn't consider, or you didn't practice, and then you go through a situation that you see if you would have used that advice, it would have worked. Anytime you go through that situation, it's because you're not considering other people's ideas. You're not considering other people's what they said within the conversation. So you have a lack of balance in your Jupiter life also, which is why your experiences you go through always put you in a situation of being isolated. So that'd be why you witness those frustrations in your experiences of being isolated, or being in a circumstance of being seen as a fool after you have done something, because you didn't consider the thought or the idea or the conversation you may have had with other individuals. So keep that in mind too. Now, Saturn. Now, Saturn right here, anytime that you are experiencing Yeah, so anytime you are experiencing not being able to materialize or manifest off your individuality, your creativity, or what you're managing, what you're bossing at the moment, your passions, your motivations and stuff like that, and you're not able to materialize, or you're not able to be at least seen as that, even if you got a job elsewhere, even if when the times you're not able to be seen as this expression that you're trying to be shown as far as being an individual and things of that nature, is due to you can't gain structure in your life. The times you can't gain structure in your life without other people. When you're experiencing those Saturn and Aries moments as a frustration, right, it's due to the fact of because you're not sharing your status with no one. You're not sharing your passions with no one. You're not communicating your ideas and your individuality with no one. So you just want to be an individual and force people to think that they know what's on your mind already without you aligning yourself with them. And a lot of times that's how you meet your demise. And Saturn actually falls in Aries. So you automatically have a hard time and forced to create something new for others anyway with this energy. Now, Taurus. Now, Taurus ascendant. Now, the reason why you experience a lot of frustrations in your life and things of that nature, right? So anytime a Taurus ascendant is experiencing the inability and they can't stabilize their personal life in some way, shape, or form, they can't ground it, they can't find personal family members to trust, and all these type of situations, 9 times out of 10 in your personal life, you're dealing with not seeing the depth of something. And you might be acting unaccordingly because you're not aware of the depth of what's going on behind closed doors. And your actions, your personal actions may cause a bridge burning scenario because you wasn't fully observing. For an example, the Taurus ascendant may have a family member that's going through something emotionally. The Taurus ascendant may not necessarily be diving deep into that consideration and may still cuss them out about something if they owe them some money back or something like that and things of that nature. And then therefore, the Taurus ascendant is not considering the depths of something. So they may think the way this person was acting was negative, where this person was actually just going through something. And then by the Taurus not having that emotional depth, they end up destroying a relationship with that family member, thinking from a practical perspective. They like, oh, this person is in this mood because of this, that, and the third. Then a Taurus will do something thinking it's practical and thinking it makes sense and damage the relationship because they didn't have the emotional depth. So they actually made an enemy where it wasn't no enemy based upon failure of observation from a depth perspective, aka opposite sign, Scorpio. So a lot of times when a Taurus ascendant, it's hard for them to stabilize their personal life and get support for their personal interests and things of that nature. Is because the people in your personal life is not connected with you with the depth of it. And sometimes you can come across as a personally using individual. So you got to be careful of that too. Now, so that's why it might be seeming like you're all over the place. Now, Taurus sun signs, right? Anytime your actions are seen as unstable, right? And like you're all over the place. And sometimes you can be seen as a Sagittarius, right? Pardon me. The in conjunction sign. But it will highly not make sense from you faster than a Sagittarius. Like you will have family members and friends start to question you, like everything all right? But the traits you doing once you get to that misunderstanding space will be a lot like Sagittarius like. So for the most part, as the Taurus sun, right? Anytime your actions are seen as unstable, it's because you're not seeing what other people are seeing, aka seeing behind the closed doors, the Scorpio energy. And we all see what we see, but what is the energy behind it to make a person act or say what they're saying at the moment? And a lot of time, a Taurus always take what they see or take what they hear. And a lot of times, without the extra observation, because you might look at it like, oh, that's boring. And if a person start to show me those signs, that's when I do it. Sometimes you put yourself into a situation where it's too late and it'd be a no point or no return. That person made you broke. It'd be a no point, no return. That family member took advantage of you. It'd be a no point, no return. You already got cheated on. So sometimes you Tauruses sometimes got to not sweep things up under the rug based on the intuition that you see, but you having earth in that lower intuition makes you sometimes sweep it under the rug. Because we all got these energies. We just see them differently and add more percentage level to each and the other ones different than the other signs. And based upon you being earth, it's going to pay more attention to other chakras than that one that correlate more to the ones that Scorpios may pay attention to, that you can help them get out of certain stuff that they need to pay attention to for them when we get to them. But everybody got a gift and curse. Don't think no sign better than the other. It's all observation. So when we start to talk about the Taurus sun, anytime your actions are seen as unstable, it's because you're not observing the actuality of things. All the way to when y'all go get jobs, right? And then it take you to get the job, and it take a whole week because you stubborn and slow, not slow retarded, slow at the observations of things. AKA, it take a whole week and month for you to realize, oh, this ain't the job I wanted. But you was wet based upon the paycheck. So you're like, oh stuff, $26 an hour. But then it take a week and a month for you to realize that ain't even worth it though. I'd rather do this so I can have time for it. You see what I'm saying? So you gotta have more. Only time you're experiencing unstableness as a Taurus sun is because you're not looking at the depths of what's not seen through what's being seen. And when you get that together, you'll stop experiencing these kind of relationships with other people, especially when you're trying to get into a relationship and you're not seeing what you're supposed to be seeing, and what's right in front of you, a person will rock you to sleep, especially if you get involved with a Scorpio. Now, Taurus moon. So when you got, now, anytime you guys experience, like, or you appear to others, the way you react to seem chaotic, because sometimes Tauruses can become the bull that's no longer sitting in one position in patience. They can become the bull that get up and want the little character off their back and start ramming everything, and you can't stop it once it start to ram you and stuff like that. So sometimes this when Tauruses experience emotional chaos. So anytime you're in a situation where it's hard for you to ground yourself, or you're going through emotional chaos and you feel like you need to blow up on someone and ram on with that bull, though, with the bull horns, though, for the most part, anytime you experience in that situation, it's because it was already something you was dealing with another person or a group of individuals or a family that have already been accumulating from beneath the surface that you wasn't paying attention to. So you wasn't aware how a person truly feel about you. You was only aware of the position that they are in your life. You know what I'm saying? For an example, you could be at work, and this is a person that you just feel comfortable talking with because they help you pass the time all the time. So as a Taurus, you get stuck in that routine. You're like, yeah, this is my person I'm going to talk to every time I go to work. Not being aware of, you're not understanding why other people know certain things that they don't supposed to know. So then it take you a week, and for something to hit the fan, for someone to question you, why did you tell somebody something, for you to be like, oh, dang, I'm talking to this person and I'm not having the emotional depth that the way this person is talking to me, they probably could be doing that to others and things of that nature. So for the most part, this puts you in that situation where you're not having the emotional depth a lot of times, and you can start to appear as chaotic to other individuals when you're in that situation because you're not seeing the emotional depth. So you'll be coming to work every day talking to this person and stuff like that, and other people will be looking at you as chaotic. Other people, especially if it's a Pisces around, they'll be looking at you phony, and in your mind, you just don't know what's going on. In the Pisces mind, they think you're supposed to know what's going on. But as a Taurus, you get hard-headed sometimes. So sometimes it might take a Gemini or a Pisces to tell you, yo, stop talking to this person, because this person be talking to everybody at the job and telling everybody gossip and stuff like that. Yeah, stop talking to this person. I was starting to think that you was in on stuff and stuff like that, and you, like, you know what I'm saying? And then it takes it, because Taurus is you're hard-headed. You're hard-headed. So that's Taurus moon. Now, for the most part, let's say Mercury in Taurus, right? Now, Mercury in Taurus, your convo, anytime you're experiencing your convos are considered to be dry, especially if you're trying to get in a relationship or something like that. And let's say you hear through the grapevine that you heard somebody was saying the way you conversate is dry or surface level, or because that can build a insecurity for you after a while when you be trying to talk to people and you don't get the feedback you want, and then you start to question, did you say the right things? And then when you hear it through the grapevine, it might be like a person explaining you as you being dry or you being surface level. Anytime you experience in that situation is because you're not being more superficial. You're being too you're not being more superstitious. You're being too superficial and things like that, because the air and the earth signs have a tendency of being too superficial And sometimes it's important to be superstitious. Not superstitious in the way that they're showing you, but it's okay to get into your other intuitions. That's the equilibrium of it. The masculine intuition will be superficial. The feminine intuition will be superficial. So, to be superficial, that situation may not be real. If you stepping over the crack, you ain't gonna break your grandmother back. If you and your friend cross the pole, y'all ain't gonna be broken old. I mean, like, that and things of that nature. But at the same time, just understanding we got that mental ability. You have a sense of intuition that the way your mind works is the way how you create events. And therefore, you can start to do that for yourself. So that's how you take the pseudoism out of it, the spookism out of it, how the shadow government understand this very same science and just create circumstances for y'all to do it in their way. But at the same time, that's being superficial in the right way. Then you have that's being superstitious in the right way. Superstitious. Then being superficial, right? It's kind of trying to see the reality of something. Actually realizing that your mother back ain't gonna crack if you cross the street crack, or knowing that you ain't gonna be old and broke if you and your friend on the opposite side and you went across the street pole. You know what I'm saying? So that and things of that nature. That's being superficial. Having a logic attribute to be like, this ain't gonna really happen. Superficial, but being superstitious. Yeah, but we could use our mind and things of that nature to know that if we could think properly, we won't be manifesting no bull crap in our life. So we get out of certain mind states, and just by us having a mind state like this to make allegories. And now you have that equilibrium. You understand both sides of your intuition, the superficial, masculine, and the superstitious, feminine. Now, so for the most part, yeah, you got to start diving a little beneath the surface, right? When you're having conversations, and don't be just trying to consider all the surface level circumstances, and therefore you won't be experiencing so much dry conversations. Sometimes say something goofy. Sometimes say something out of whack. Sometimes say something that may be unstable, unpractical. Sometimes say something that don't make sense. You the Taurus, you already know why you're saying it, because you're so bent on trying to say things that make sense. Sometimes this would make conversations dry. So do it for a purpose. Sometimes it say something that don't make no sense because that makes the conversation non-dry after a while. Then when you ground the non-making sense, now you know how to conversate a lot better on phones and text messages now. Because you could be like, yeah, I just said that because I just wanted to spark this up, but let's get back serious to this, that, and third. Now the conversation has got more minutes added to it. See what I'm saying? I don't believe in that. I just said that to see what you think about that, though. But yeah, I'm more practical. Now you're developing now the conversation minutes could last longer. A person won't be saying you dry anymore. You might feel uncomfortable with doing that at hand due to the fact of you the Taurus, though, and that's your opposite energy, Scorpio. Now, and let me speed up a little bit. Taurus and Venus and Taurus, right? There's going to be anytime you are experiencing not being appreciated for things. Anytime you experience not being appreciated for things, it's because how you participated in love. You might have used objects, or you might have used yourself, or you might have used other things to think that was going to balance with love in some way, shape, or form. And a person take advantage of your money, take advantage of your body, take advantage of your mind, take advantage of your house, take advantage of your car, until you realize that ain't love. This person don't actually love you. They loved what you had to offer in order for you to attract it because you got Venus and Taurus. So you have to be careful of that too. So you have to learn to have more emotional depth, aka start to put yourself in situations where you even might have something, but you're not presenting that or broadcasting that or offering that from the jump in order to manifest a relationship. You're playing certain emotional games that's beneficial for you for the outcome. And then once a person show you certain signs that you can see that they care more about you, and they wouldn't even care if you have this thing that you got behind closed doors that they don't even know that you got, and they care about you without even caring if you got things like that or not, then that'd be the person that you're supposed to open up to and be like, and they'll be deserving for that, and your love and things of that nature. But y'all got to learn how to do that, have more emotional depth with the Scorpio energy. Anytime you are experiencing an unbalance with the opposite energy with your Venus. Mars in Taurus. Mars is debilitated in Taurus. So anytime you are experiencing no support or help towards your gifts and talents, 9 times out of 10, the way you presented your passions, looked at selfish, look like something you just want to do. And you don't necessarily need the ideas of others. You just need the support of others. And then a lot of times that you put yourself into a situation of looking like a user. So anytime you are experiencing that, you need more emotional depth, where the matter at hand ain't the most importance. The importance is how much you could connect with someone that, even if you was to need their help, material or maternal wise, right, they're willing to do it without considering the material is the main purpose of it. They're able to do it because they like, I actually care about this person, so I'm willing to help them with whatever I got. And whatever that they got, if it's more than you, that's how you'll be able to put yourself into a position of being a good person that can use a person. But when you're going through that situation where you experiencing no support, being a Taurus and Mars and things of that nature, is because you're not having emotional depth with other individuals. You're making everything too surface level when it comes to how you align yourself with your passions. Jupiter and Mars. Jupiter and Taurus. Jupiter and Mars. Now, Jupiter and Taurus. This is going to be anytime you are experiencing not being in a stable condition. So it seems like you got to stay with family member to family member. It seems like you can't ground yourself. And even if you do, got to live in condition. Other people need you for constant things. Your house still need for other people to be in it, as far as family members that's homeless at the moment and things of that. Anytime you experiencing these type of situations, being a Taurus, a Jupiter, Taurus and stuff like that, pardon me, where you're not in a stable condition. Even when you're not in a stable condition, it's hard for you to be grounded somewhere and things of that nature. You're not having emotional depth in your experiences. You're not observing the things you actually need to observe. You're too surface level. You're only about this. You're only about that. And your experiences is not having the other layer to it in order for you to be secure. When it comes to accumulating the only things that you're seeing, you might, in your experiences, you might only be seeing money. You might only be seeing what makes sense, what's practical. And you're not observing in your experiences that sometimes you have to be observing something that's not there. Go a little deeper. Go more on the intuition. You know what I'm saying? Even might have to learn how to manipulate the situation. Stop allowing the situation just to use you. Learn how to control the situation. Learn how to take more power and control, and you transform the situation. Or you're going to constantly experience being in unstable conditions where you're not taking charge of your life or learning the right things. Then Jupiter and Saturn. Jupiter and Saturn, right? I mean, why can't I say Jupiter and Saturn? Saturn and Taurus, right? This is not, anytime you experience and not being able to ground yourself or make money. So we're going to make it simple because I'm going to speed this up. Anytime you're in a situation where you're not grounded or not being able to make money, right? It's because Saturn is how you gain with your stability, your structure. You're not doing it in a deep way. All these jobs, all these relationships, too surface level. You ain't had no deep passion or motivation to want a specific job. You ain't had no deep passion and motivation for a specific person or group of people or something to be associated with to gain stability in your life. You just going about life based upon a dollar sign or based upon, oh, this what works, or this is easy to get into, or I can be stable here and this would make sense. I don't seem unnormal, unfamiliar to the world. And then anytime you start to experience not being able to make money, it's just because of that. You got to learn how to be a little bit more deep about what you're going for. Even if other signs are playing out the energy and it makes sense to you because you're a Taurus, but you experiencing unstable in your life, you have to add the opposite energy and create balance in that and start to do things that don't make sense in order to make sense out of it. And that's how you can get in a position. And now Geminis. There's a lot because the way I'm breaking this down, each of these need a whole hour. So let me go ahead and speed this up a little bit. And then we'll just do that. And then, oh yeah, I'm about to finish this my altar and stuff like that, and then upload on all social platforms how to obtain a reading. Because I'm 100% now, so I ain't got no pancreatitis issues or nothing. I'm saying real shit. Y'all don't see my face puffy, nothing. You know what I'm saying? Real stuff. All right, now look, check this out. So Gemini, right? Now, Gemini, ascendants. Anytime you are experiencing a situation where it's hard to think about your personal purpose and it's hard to develop one, you're going through a situation right now where you're not learning on experience and you're sitting back based upon your upbringing and how other people act, whether they're a Gemini or not. where the way they deal with their life was more about thinking and just talking and doing a lot more talking than doing, negative than positive. This became a personal subconscious trait. So as you get older, as you are now, if you're watching my channel, anytime in your personal life you are experiencing the times it's hard to develop a personal purpose, it's because you got too many different thoughts and too much of your own thoughts and other people's thoughts in your mind that's scattered of a whole bunch of different purposes, and you not being able to find one out of them. So for the most part, you have to act on things and start to experience, regardless of the information that's on your personal mind that's preventing you from doing and not picking one and things of that nature. And just pick one, even if you care about it or not. It's going to be hard for you to ground caring energy itself because you're an air sign, not water or fire. So for the most part, you have to put yourself into a situation or earth. So you have to put yourself into a situation where you start experiencing whatever you're personally overanalyzing to not do. And you will start to experience whatever was on your mind isn't necessarily right all the time. And you'll be better off more on a percentage scale. Not to say you always going to be right, but at least you're on that path of becoming your true self. So anytime you're experiencing a situation where you can't find a purpose, is because you're not even acting on anything that's on your mind personally. Sagittarius energy. Now, or expressing it. Gemini sun signs. Anytime your actions is seen as very unwise by others, even if you thought you had it together in your mind, but you still got people saying things to you to make you feel like you're unwise, it's because you're taking too many ideas or talks and conversations from other individuals to act on something before you act on something. And your actions look scattered after a while, even when you complete a thought. It got too many extra thoughts with it, so it's not one thought, but you make it look like one. So it look dual. And then whatever you do, you make a person look at you to appear to be unwise. And then therefore you find yourself having to communicate to make them see a different side of something of how you still right. And if you ain't good enough at doing that as a Gemini, which is y'all traits, you're going to meet a lot of demises and frustrations and things of that nature. So for the most part, you got to add more experiences to yourself instead of jumping into things first with a development, a whole bunch of conversations you had with others and information you learned first. Now, Gemini moon. Anytime you're in a situation where you can't freely communicate your feelings, anytime you're in a situation that you can't freely express your feelings, or you're around others that make you feel like they're not freely experiencing their feelings in some way, shape, or form, there's a lack of the Sagittarius energy there, which is either a spiritual system, so there's nothing to connect to, or you may be around others that put you into a cage, so any emotional expression will create a toxic situation with them and things of that nature. Or it may be a situation where anytime that you're, oh shit, where I'm at? Yeah, anytime you can't emotionally connect your feelings is because you may be around individuals that's not into the same thing that you're into. So that's where it always play out as a Gemini moon when you're going through those situations. You're dealing with the opposite Sagittarius energy. You got people, which is the Sagittarius energy. You got people around you that's caged in something. Or you're caged in something at the moment when you're around other individuals. And you have to learn how to get out of whatever cage you in, so you're not overanalyzing about whatever feeling you think you in and you think another person is in, so you can actually express it to see if that's actually true or not. Now, so a lot of times, even Gemini moons could play out Pisces and Sagittarius energies. Now, the Gemini Mercury, right? Now Mercury does good here, but you still experience frustrations. So with the Mercury and Gemini, anytime it's hard for you to share ideas with others, it seems like y'all can never reach the conversation to the point that you're trying to start it at and stuff like that, because there's always somebody throwing a spoil in the well, throwing a wrench in the conversation, taking it elsewhere, making you feel like that you can't reach the point because they're making you feel like your point don't make sense or something. Anytime you're in a situation where it's hard for you to share ideas with others, it's because the ideas that you're sharing, you got an energy behind it that you haven't experienced it for yourself, or you're not actually doing it, or you're not practicing what you preach. And you be thinking just because you learned a lot of information about it and talked to other people about it and it's on your mind, that's all you need. And a lot of times you don't even see it like that's what's going on, when people start to reject whatever you're communicating with them. So that's what, so let me speed this up. So that's when you know you're going through that. You should pardon me. Venus and Geminis, right? Anytime you can't find a sapiosexual relationship. So anytime you can't find a sapiosexual relationship, is because you're dealing with the element right now of non-expression, or manifesting a lot of people who are not emotionally open, or you're in a situation where you're not manifesting people who are in the same thing that you are into. So your mind, it can't open up to share love with the individual. So that's the anytime you are experiencing as a Gemini Venus can't find a sexual relationship, is because you're dealing with an opposite element, and the element consists of a person, place, or thing not being interested in the same things that you love and appreciate and value. So a lot of times we stay in living conditions and stuff like that, where it's a thin line between finding anyone, especially going to Gemini with Venus, because in your common environment, the average individual is distracted. And if your mind like to wander on a lot of things, and you don't have nobody around you whose mind like that also, you find yourself it being hard to find someone to actually open up with, to communicate, to even start to manifest what love is. And you get lost in your own mind at times. So anytime you are experiencing that, it's because either you're in some mental cage, or you're around others that's in a mental cage, and those are the ones you're trying to force love on. And you have to realize you can't do that. You have to travel internally or externally. Look for people who's not into the same thing you're around, or actually travel in some way, shape, or form also. And that's another reason why you may be experiencing resistance in love life, because you're not doing those things too. You might be in a family who like clicked up with a lot of other people's family, so you already got people who recommend it to you that already have a sense of familiarity to be like, okay, this is the person I'm gonna be with after high school or something like that. But it's already familiar, so you're not even looking at it like this don't build sapiosexual energy, though, due to the fact of how the family and y'all location is set up. And these people already, you being aware of them already. Because it's your cousin, friend, this, or, you know what I'm saying, this, that, and the third. And a lot of times, you will find yourself not finding a good relationship and thinking something wrong with you, where it's purely just this. Your Venus is in Gemini. You're not around anyone, and you have to do the opposite energy, which is Sagittarius. And unfortunate, you might have to actually travel if you're going to find love. Which is crazy. God damn it, my Venus is in goddamn it Gemini and Taurus. And that's all y'all get on my channel, even when we ain't talking about this. You know what I'm saying? That's crazy. That's crazy. All right, now. That's crazy. I see how both of them play out. The Taurus and the Gemini with my Venus that I just broke down. In my real life, I see how they both play out. That's crazy. And this a whole new astrology science, but it ain't fake. It's real. All right, now look. For the most part, because it's just about math. That's all. Now, Mars and Gemini. So all my Martians and Gemini, right? There's going to be anytime it's hard to find others to share ideas with, right? It's because your passions and your motivations ain't free. They're too much in your own mind. And you're before you even participating, you're observing others based upon how you formulate a conversation, just to see if they're into what you're into, and you're looking for things that's stupid from what they're going to say. And you'll find anything as an excuse to not want to share the purity of your idea. And you'll be thinking this is what's making you intelligent, without knowing that this is actually a trauma you're dealing with at the moment. And eventually you're going to constantly start to see that it's hard for you to find others to share ideas with. And you thinking that it's them, but it's low-key you being in a Gemini Mars and you overanalyzing your passions, then you might come up with this weird dual idea of how your idea is way better than anybody else's. Then anything a person say, your mind is bent on trying to find how it wouldn't match yours, instead of being open and aligning it with it at those times as needed. And a lot of times, this is what Mars and Gemini can put you in. And this is why a lot of times you may experience having good conversations with people, but it still seems like you're not getting support by them. That's why. The openness with the Sagittarius and just experiencing another person's ideas, you lack that. You lack it because of your way of participating when you start the conversation. You don't start the conversation with openness. It looked like it because you dual as a Gemini, but that dual other idea is looking for something else. And a lot of times that's the aura you carrying, and that's the message that don't need to be said. It be the God language, and all of our spirit, psyche, pilot senses be tingling. So a person won't know why the conversation is good, but they're not all foot in when it comes to what you was telling them. They don't know that. They just participate 1 foot in, 1 foot out, and just think spiritually deep down they're just being safe, and they don't give it another thought. But it's really because of your aura you're giving them. See what I'm saying? So you have to be careful because you're very good talkers. So it's not like you're going to create conversations that's negative. It's just you got to check your energy for when a person developed their own thought about the conversation on their own and have it develop their own feeling. That's what you need to worry about being a Gemini and Mars. The stuff you don't kind of see. Because a person will leave with a good conversation, but they won't trap themselves, Sagittarius, in anything that you felt like you was trying to put them in. See what I'm saying? So you'll be thinking like, damn, I thought everything was all good, but it don't seem like this person actually supporting. You know what I'm saying? Because in their heart, they feel like whatever you were saying may put them in a cage. But whatever you were saying wasn't necessarily anything wrong. Just something that they're not down with at the moment based upon what's in their own life, and they need freedom. And they might have sensed whatever you were saying may block a little bit of freedom in their life. You see what I'm saying? So that's why if you are Gemini, a Mars and Gemini, those times you are experiencing it being hard to share ideas with others, that's the unseen that's going on at the moment. Now, it's hard for me to speed up because I gotta break it down. Like I gotta break it down, but I'm gonna try. All right. Jupiter and Mars. I mean, I said Mars. Jupiter and Gemini, because my mind is already 6 signs ahead. So Jupiter and Mars. I said it again. Jupiter and Gemini. Thank you so much for the donation, Kay. I can't see the whole name. But Jupiter and Gemini. And you know, Jupiter actually is debilitated in Gemini and Pisces. So for the most part, here's the thing. Anytime it's hard to know what's going on in your environment, it's hard for you to be complacent. It's hard for you to fully be indulged into the experience, positive or negative. You might be at Disney World for the first time, but it's hard for you to fully be invested into the experience. You got to worry about this. You got to worry. And then before you know it, the day is over. You ain't even fully enjoy yourself. Anytime you're going through experiences like that, with Jupiter and Gemini, it's because you're not being open and you're thinking too much. AKA, you gotta be more open. Sagittarius, you're not. So you're supposed to use your sign because you're not Sagittarius, but use your thinking for more openness, more of the opposite element, and that's how you won't lose yourself either. Because if you lose yourself in thinking you have to be these signs before you even interact with life, you'll find yourself on 1,000 Zodiac and astrology videos just trying to learn that sign to be like, all right, when I'm in these situations, I got to do that. No, that's wrong. You're doing it backwards. Anytime you experience an opposition, that's your opposite element anyway. It's how well you're able to use your element to create balance when you're starting to interact with it via person, place, or thing. See what I'm saying? Not you acting like it. That's you becoming faulty and it being a religious Christianity context to how they utilize the Bible. And then that's when you're doing it the wrong way. And then when a failure happens, you be, oh, dang, because my Jupiter was in the 18,000 house. It's wrong at that point. Now, but for the most part, Jupiter and Gemini, anytime it's hard to know what's going on in your environment because you're not actually involving yourself in the environment. You're in the environment, but you're in your mind first. So as a spirit, you're not allowing yourself to free your mind and your feelings a little bit. So you're in your environment and you're in your mind. So before you even fully experience the environment, you're experiencing your mind observation of the environment, and as a spirit, you didn't fully observe the experience as a dual energy as your mind and the environment because you didn't know how to separate. So be careful of that too. Then Saturn and Gemini. Anytime it seemed like it's hard to find the right idea for your status or to materialize or to obtain structure or to get a job in your life, anytime it seemed like it's hard to do that, and you, especially if you got weird peer pressures and expectations, like especially like you probably got your family members right now telling you you need to get a job and things of that nature, right? So that situation have already is an accumulation that have manifested from a starting point already. So it comes from this space right here. If you were a Saturn and Gemini, anytime that it's hard to find the right idea to create a status or something like that, it's because you're not trying enough things. You only been doing what's expected from you by the ideas of others, and then you have not been even doing that all foot in. You've been 1 foot in, 1 foot out, because that dual Gemini nature. You know that you don't necessarily want to just do that. You know what I'm saying? But you know you have to do that for other people to shut up. So you get lost in your mind a lot of times and things of that nature. And a lot of times this is why you start to manifest that situation where they have to look at you anyway. And you have to have that conversation with them like, I'm trying. And then they have to tell you, you ain't trying hard enough or some stuff like that. 9 times out of 10 with that Saturn being in Gemini is because you technically wasn't trying enough things, but you was in your mind only trying to try the things that they was wanting you to do or what you thought you were supposed to do, and no main things you were supposed to be trying anyway. So when you get into a situation with just being free of trying new things, period, you will stumble and fall into something, then use your Gemini mind and start to analyze and learn more information about it so you could become the best in that area. Therefore, before a person can even tell you, get up off your butt and go get a job, you was already out and about. Nobody know what you was doing, and you came back all excited. And then people were like, what you doing? Yeah, why are you so excited? Because I just did this. I walked somewhere else, and I was talking to this person, and I don't know what I was doing. I did something else, and I got a job now. You know what I'm saying? Then you ain't even have to witness that conversation of someone telling you, get up off your butt to get one. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, it's gonna be hard for me to speed this up. I'm sorry, because I got to break it down scenarios. Because sometimes I be feeling like y'all might not get it the way I see it. So I might got to go on another ladder to break it down on that ladder to fully feel comfortable to move on to the, you know what I'm saying, real stuff. So I got to have a school. I got to have teachers. Because while I'm teaching one thing, there's a whole bunch of people just getting into astrology. Where in my mind, I'll be thinking who I'm talking to, I don't need to talk about certain things because you should be on. And then, no, that's not the case. You know how many people in the world? So once I can be on one floor talking about the level of knowledge with people who reach that grade, I got teachers who could just teach people about what does the sun mean, what the moon mean. It's a million people online right now who just now getting into that. Do you know that? Yeah, I got to start building these. I got to get these channels. I got to build this female channel and stuff like that. All right, but look, check this out, right? So, Cancer. Now, Cancer ascendant. I like that. Shout out to Jim Stones. Parachutes and Ladders. That's like a song title. I like that. All right, now look, Cancer ascendant, right? Now, Peep Gang, shout out to Just Be Free. Y'all make sure y'all subscribe to her channel also. Now look, check this out, right? Now, Cancer ascendant. Anytime you're in a situation where it seems like it's hard and you can't personally connect emotionally, even if you got family members that's just taking care of you, everything, giving you all the emotions ever, you end up being seen like you take that for granted and try to get it elsewhere because you already can get it from there in some way, shape, or form. So, shout out to Madam Assistant. Pardon me. So, Peep game. Sometimes you can create a lot of self-sabotaging energies when it comes into Cancer ascendant. So for the most part, anytime you are experiencing it being hard to connect with individuals, even if they family and stuff like that, it's because you're in a situation where personally you're not in a position of being useful and can't nobody use you for nothing. And you may not be seeing that's what's going on, but if you do enough shadow work, that's actually what you're lacking. You're lacking having something to be used for, and you really just want to be used. So you would develop personal emotions, Cancer ascendant, and think that you're traumatized or not being supported, even if you don't even have nothing to be supported on. And then you would use that as a tactic to be used by others, even if it's a form of frustration, even if it's a form of keep being bad in school, even if it's a form of keep fighting with your siblings. These be subconscious tactics of the Cancer ascendant, of their way of getting attention, because Leo is the next sign. So a lot of time, and then you communicate and act out in certain ways to get that, because Gemini is the previous sign. But it be all on the premise and basis of how you be emotionally feeling, because you're the Cancer water sign. So a lot of times being a Cancer ascendant, you have to be careful, because it's hard to personally connect. Even when people be trying to connect with you, you will put up a resistance and stuff. And then you have to get older in your life and go through a lot of experiences and ups and downs in your relationships to realize that you be the problem of the toxic relationships you keep creating between you and your family relationships and your partner. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of times, anytime you're dealing with that, it's because you're not utilizing the opposite energy for your personal life. Capricorn, being useful or having something to use. And then you don't know that, being a Cancer ascendant, without that, you end up using your emotions to get that. And emotions can't be used for practical solutions. So you end up just putting people on guilt trips. You know what I'm saying? You end up being emotionally manipulative. You know what I'm saying? All kind of stuff. So you have to be careful being a Cancer ascendant. And a lot of y'all who not Cancer's ascendants probably got Cancer's ascendants in y'all life, and y'all probably see these traits I'm talking about. Especially if they your parent and they haven't went through the shadow work. Like you see, like, and then you can't teach an old dog tricks. So you can see how some of these traits even help them in their life, for them to maintain, to feel who they are when it's not directed towards you. Like you can see it from a distance, like, oh, I can see how my father or how my mother or how my auntie is when they at work or something like that. I can see that. You'll be able to see it, like you'll have your Cancer ascendant auntie or mother come to the crib or something like that, and you'll hear how they talking about people at work and stuff like that, and you could just make up the idea in your mind, like, oh, she probably give people at work hell. I know if I worked with her, I'd go through. You know what I'm saying? Like, you'll be here if you got a Cancer ascendant family or friend. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Now, since it's not directed towards you, it's a good conversation. Good dope conversation. We could be on Oprah after it. I'll add, because it ain't directed towards me. So it's toxic, it's juicy, it's gossip. That sound good. What else happened? You know what I'm saying? What else happened at work? You know what I'm saying? But then when you step outside the box and look at it, though, from an unbiased situation, and like, and you don't look at it from, oh, this is my family or this is my friend, you kind of can know it's their fault, though, when they there, though. You know what I'm saying? You know that they the ones coming to work frustrating everybody with their emotions and stuff. Real stuff. You know what I'm saying? They the ones went to work and turned it upside down, and because you witnessed it, because you their family member, and when they woke up, you already knew what mood they was in before they went to work. So you already know anything they said when they get back. You already know. Good conversation though. Oh, I said good conversation though. Real stuff. That's a Cancer ascendant for you. But Jay, so anytime you a Cancer ascendant and you experiencing personal disconnect emotionally and stuff like that, is because you're not in a situation where you could be useful to even feel good about yourself and to feel good about the people in your life. So you don't be in that space of emotionally throwing things on them, where spiritually you're secretly trying to put yourself in front of a person and be like, hey, use me. I want to be cared for so I can care for you too. But if you ain't got nothing there, your way of going about it is very toxic and moody. Now, Cancer Sun, right? So with Cancer Sun, anytime you're in a situation where you can't see familiarity or comfort in others, even if they are family members, it's just hard for you to be comfortable around others. It's hard for you to do all these kind of things of that nature. It's because you're lacking the opposite element, right? Your energy is not being used for productive measures. So your emotions is not used to care for something, to nurture it enough to see the outcome of it, whether it's a friendship, siblingship, relationship, business, whatever, networking, corporation, where the corpse is ran up under of nations of dead people mentally, right? You're not in a position like that. So a lot of times when it comes into you being looking around and not seeing no familiarity and stuff like that, that's the case right there. So you have to put yourself that you can actually be building something and your energy is going towards something productive, Capricorn energy, and therefore you force other people to care about that. So it's not all about you and how you feel before you participate with something. It's you taking all that care to participate with something and having people look at you like they really care about this. And I'm going to show them I care about them by helping them with whatever that they're doing. And that's how the Cancer transmute. Other than that, Cancers, y'all be using y'all powers for the wrong things. And that's why you always experience unfamiliarity or being uncomfortable and being in a mood, even when you're around family. Now, Cancer's moon, right? Now, this is going to be anytime you can't find no one that feel you. You can't find no one that can connect with you. And you might think whatever you expressing make a lot of sense, but it doesn't. Like you might feel this sense of a person that's saying yeah just for the sake of saying yeah, but they're not really connected with you. And when you force the issue, you might even manifest a person actually expressing they don't necessarily connect. Anytime you're in a situation like that, being a Cancer moon and stuff, because that can develop trauma and stuff, because that leads to unfamiliarity, uncomfortability with whoever you're trying to connect with, in ways that ain't even got nothing to do with connection in reality in real life. So, and then you develop a weird mood and self-sabotage relationships. But at the same time, being a Cancer moon, only anytime you're experiencing that situation is because your emotions is not used for the opposite element, Capricorn, anything productive. Your feelings is only used for expressing your trauma, expressing what you don't get, expressing what somebody done to you, expressing what someone need to do. It's never used for how you feel about this gift or talent, how you feel about this job, how you feel about this business, and how much we need to care about building it, and how much we need to care about making it useful, how much we need to care about being used, how much we need to care about using each other, and to build that building that can be perceived as the Cancer energy, the home or the foundation for whatever it is. It's an esoteric concept, though, something you can always go back to manifest and feel comfortable in without it feeling like it could come and go day and night. So for the most part, anytime you are experiencing being a Cancer moon, can't find no one to feel you because your feelings is not productive. Now, Mercury, now Cancer and Mercury. Anytime you can't share your feelings with others, and it's like a blockage when it's coming to communication and stuff like that, it's because the stuff you're talking about is not productive. And you communicate more about how you think somebody else is feeling, and that's why you feel the way you feel. So the Mercury in Cancer has a weird fetish with having conversations about how they think somebody feel to justify this is why I feel this way, and this is why I'm acting this way towards you. And you create your own enemies and your own friends. And then you manifest a lot of people who ain't really your friend. You just think they're your friend. Who ain't really your enemy. You just made them an enemy. And then you create scenarios for this to actually be events and stuff like that. So you have to, and then you throw all this emotional trauma on people. So y'all gotta be careful being Mercury and Cancers. Also, anytime you're in a situation where it's hard for you to share your feelings with others, and because your thought pattern is never using or direct it into something productive. It's always used to consider why you feel the way you feel. And then since it's Mercury, you start to communicate what you think somebody else is doing wrong as a justification to why you feel the way you feel and why you acting towards them the way you acting. And whatever side of the bed you wake up on for whatever you choose the mood to be in to express that, that's how you're going to do it. And so a lot of times y'all just toxic too. Y'all Mercury and Cancers be toxic as a mother chucker. F you the lower octave. Now, Venus in Cancer. Now, if you're a Venus in Cancer, right? Anytime you're in a situation where you have nothing to care about, almost to the point that if you reach a certain area, you might not even care about your life because you don't feel like you're being cared for or getting a certain attention or have no home or anything of that nature or no home that you want. And the current home may be messed up family members and stuff like that. So at the same time, anytime you're in that situation, it's because you didn't love and appreciate things that you were supposed to be taking more serious. So that's why you experiencing that event at the moment. It's an element of your opposite energy that's reminding you through the universe as a vessel, you need to gain balance in that energy. And you need to start loving and appreciating things that ain't always dealing with your mood, your emotions. You can't make business personal all the time. And this is why you're not experiencing true love or relatable energy and things of that nature. Or having someone speak the good word for you so you got a good face card. So anytime you're experiencing that, that's why. And Mars falls in Cancer. So next is Mars. Mars in Cancer, right? So for the most part, with Mars in Cancer, right? Anytime your passions is seen as emotional trauma and things of that nature. For an example, you might be passionate about something, but the reason you're passionate about something is because of the lack of something. So you're only passionate about being a boxer because you got beat up a lot through high school. You're only passionate about being a breadwinner in a family because you come from a broken family. You're only passionate about having the best relationship in the world because your parents was divorced. Like that type of stuff where you got good intentions, but it comes from very traumatic states. So subconsciously, sometimes you might manifest situations where you see early actions from others that might remind you that it might lead to these events that you previously experienced. You may express extreme traumatic energy towards that individual and make a person run. So you have to be careful of that. Also, with Venus in Cancer, you make sure that Mars in Cancer, right? Your passions may be seen as emotional trauma. So when you're going through those situations, it's because of that you're developing. So learn how to use your Mars for more serious things that don't necessarily deal with the emotions that much. Then you can add your emotions to it, your Cancer energy after. You see what I'm saying? Now Jupiter is exalted and Zeus is exalted in Cancer. Noah, Ark, the Ark of Noah, where it floods, Cancer time, summer, beginning of summer. So anytime you can't connect with the environment, it's hard for you to emotionally connect with the environment, and you probably could have been living there for years, right? Auntie lived next door and everything, but everybody seemed like they got something going on, but you can't seem to have something going on. You can't seem to get the relationship like your auntie. You can't seem to get the job like your brother. It's like, it's hard for you to connect with the environment in some way, but everybody is doing it the same way you're trying to do it. It's like, what the heck is going on, right? Anytime you are experiencing this, it's because, pardon me, it's because you have to sometimes get out of what you think is wise for you to do, because Jupiter is exalted. So it could be too extreme and you think you're too wise, and it could become you being too smart for your own good, and you thinking you're too good for certain things that other family members or your environment people have done that you haven't seen that they did for them to get to that position, for you to think that you was supposed to be there too. So you end up developing a chip on your shoulder and a resentment, not knowing that this is something you're developing on yourself. So you should be upset at yourself that you're not doing the things that you think you're too good at, instead of developing resentment because you're not in a certain position. See what I'm saying? Now, so anytime you are experiencing a disconnect with the environment, it's because you're not being useful within the environment. You're not caring about the actual things you need to do in the environment. And based upon you not being aware of it, you may get moody that you're not in a certain position in your environment and able to do things. So you end up building up more resistance and going down a train of thought and a line of reasoning of a no point and no return down the opposite direction towards your goals, going down that thought process. Now, and Saturn is debilitated in Cancer, right? So Saturn in Cancer, anytime you're in a situation where it seems like it's hard, or you can't create a home or a family, or it takes extreme work to build on the one you already have, and it's hard to create that home and family in the structure that you need it to be in, right? It's because how you see reality sometimes is based on your emotions. You need to see reality more useful and get rid of emotions sometimes and be more structured and start to be more productive and things of that nature, and initiate in that area. More Capricorn with your Cancer energy. Have some productive energy to care about. And therefore you will have the actual object or the material or the structure or the status that you're important enough that you can actually cause the change to create a home and family now. So a lot of times, just purely on the premise and basis of being a Saturn and a Cancer, a lot of times why it's hard for you to create a home and family, because you don't take the time to go get a job. All right, now look, now when we get into Leo, so I gotta try to speed this up though, because I already have it in. Now Leo ascendant. Anytime you're in a situation where you are developing more haters than admirers, somebody said part 2. Would y'all want me to do the Libra through Pisces later on? Because I could do that. Because I could just finish going deep for Leo and Virgo. And then 10 o'clock tonight, I could fully go deep Libra through Pisces. Yeah, because I will be wore out. Shout out to Rich. I appreciate you for saying that. Yeah, because I do be, y'all do not know when I be cutting off this camera. Shout out to Madam Sister. All right, so cool. All right, so I'm gonna finish going deep on Leo and Virgo, and we're gonna continue tonight Libra through Pisces, so I can have enough time to go deep on those the same way I went deep on everybody else. Because I feel like that sometimes. Like I'm a speed up, but I feel like I ain't doing the same justice. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of times I feel like that after the flight tarot card readings. Like I have a set goal in my mind how long I want to spend on a reading. So since Aries be first, I sit there in Aries and go ahead and do it in the way my mind frame was. Slightly do Taurus like that. Then once it get to Gemini, I start going deep and stuff like that. Then after the reading, I start realizing like, oh, I really want to do Aries again and Taurus again. Or sometimes I won't start getting deep till I get to Cancer or Leo. Or sometimes Leo and Virgo. And I'll be like, dang, I got to do Cancer again. I should do Gemini again. But then I start thinking like, okay, they may got the point. But yeah, Leo ascendant. Anytime you're in a situation where you are developing more haters than admirers, right? You're in a situation where you're dealing with the opposite element. You haven't done enough devil's advocate with yourself to see how you was personally coming across. So the way you're personally coming across, and remember, it's your ascendant. It's not your sun or your moon or your other planets. So you may be unaware of how you coming across based upon your personal upbringing and just certain traits you develop, not knowing that these are traits, because these are not things you're into. It's not your actions, your sun. It's not your reactions, your moon. It's just how you come across. So a lot of times, if you're around other people who may have negative alignments towards that energy, they may think that you're that way if they don't know how you act or react, if they don't know your sun or your moon sign, if those not Leo too. You know what I'm saying? So for the most part, here's the thing. A person will be thinking you attention seeking even when you ain't, because it's just your Leo ascendant. And then let's say you don't know how to use your sun and moon right. You might, whatever that your actions and reactions are, might not even help it, might not even do it no justice. So whatever you do to convince a person from a distance, if they don't really know you, sun and moon, they're just going to see you from your ascendant and think like, oh, this person is doing what they're doing for attention. Oh, this, you know what I'm saying? And then for the most part, anytime you are experiencing these kind of situations and stuff like that, it's because you haven't added the Aquarius energy. You haven't talked to yourself. You haven't individualized yourself. You haven't rebelled against this character that you're supposed to separate and look at it like a person, not see it through other people. See yourself as another person and then start to use that Aquarius energy and start to question, is that even the right way to be acting? And what is this? Do this look like it's going to look like attention seeking? Do this look like a person trying to get praised? And talk to yourself like that. Be the devil's advocate with your ascendant, because you may not know how you're coming across because it's your ascendant. And that's what's going on anytime you are experiencing more haters than admirers. You haven't did enough Uranus Saturn work yet. You know what I'm saying? See the reality of what you are expressing from your sun. You know what I'm saying? AKA it's ruled by the sun, but it's your ascendant. Now, you may even need to check your personality at times, being a Leo ascendant. Because the Leo ascendant, sometimes the personality can take over the sun and moon. So even it don't be a want or need, you don't be trying to act, you don't be trying to react. Leo sometimes just take over because the way that your actions look and the way your reactions look is the ascendant, how it appears to be. You know what I'm saying? Like you might be a Leo ascendant and Taurus sun. So your actions is towards getting money or being stable or being practical. But the way it look, you might look flamboyant at your way of doing it. You might look braggadocious at your way of doing it. Now remind you, you a Taurus sun. You don't think you braggadocious. See what I'm saying? You just go for yours because this is the practical thing to do. Another person may look at you like this person only working that hard because they trying to flash, because they trying to be braggadocious. And once they get to know you, you're working hard because you a Taurus. You just appeared to be working hard like that because they synced the Leo from your ascendant. You see what I'm saying? And every now and then, Some of your personal interests may be Leo type things, aka every now and then some of the things you buy with your Taurus money may be Leo type things, but you're not looking at it like that because it's not your sun or moon. You get it? All right, but look. So for the Leo ascendant, developing more haters or admirers is because you're not playing that good cop, bad cop energy with yourself. And it might be hard for you to do that, especially if you got a trine or a sextile energy with your sun and moon. So your ascendant got friends. Like if you got a Sagittarius, Aries, sun or moon, or a Gemini, a Gemini or a Libra, sun or moon, and things of that nature, it got friends. So a lot of times, right, you might be in a certain situation where you don't know how you coming across and stuff like that, and you don't know how you appear to others, and others might be looking at you like you coming too strong and stuff like that because they don't know your wants and needs. And then once you start to show your actions and you got help and stuff like that, you might think it's other people's problem. You might not even think you got a problem. You know what I'm saying? Because it ain't no good cop, bad cop there. You got too many friends, and there ain't no Aquarius energy there. You got either Aries, Sag, or Gemini, or Libra. So you got friends there. It's like, so it's almost like they help you get in your own la la land. They help you get in your own illusion of grandeur. And then for the most part, that Leo ascendant believe its personality, even if it's not the actions or the reactions. They'll start to act like what they're attracting, how other people appear them to be. And they'd be the first person to say, well, all publicity is good publicity, good or bad. So all good, hate good, bad good. So even if they get a hater more than an admirer, they will look at that like it's an admirer too, and egg it on and make them hate more. Do stuff to egg on to the hate, and then from the distance, this just appear to be a negative Leo ascendant after a while. You know what I'm saying? And they'd be somewhere like Mustafa and Simba and Simba X with their head up high. Even when you the most negative person in the world, in your mind, you think this what makes you the best person in the world, best sliced piece of bread, and that's the reason they hate you. You become la la land. Now, Sun and Leo, right? So with the Sun and Leo, this is going to be anytime you're going through a situation where it seems like it's hard to be accepted or liked and things of that nature. And that hurts the Leo's pride, especially if it's a Leo that may not have the facial features that Walt Disney have trained our mind to make us think what's accepted in the world and what's beautiful or not. You know what I'm saying? The Tyra Banks stuff and stuff, right? This is going to throw the Leo sun sign in a loop where they need to manipulate their appearance or something like that, or manipulate a character about themselves where the appearance ain't the main objective to why they are attractive. And if they're not, and on their mission of trying to get that done, they may become very toxic individuals throughout their life. They may become very traumatic, very insecure in their way of relating to their relationships and stuff. So a lot of times you may not know this is what's going on. And it doesn't always have to be, you know what I'm saying, facial or featurely ugly and things of that nature, because no one ugly. That's why I'm breaking it down in this context. Some of the most beautiful people in the world are ugly inside. Because, see, when we talk about attention, right, that varies. So it don't matter what percentage level you on. You could be the most beautiful person in the world. Your level of thinking what you're entitled to receive would develop an insecurity and things of that nature. When you're not able to receive what you think is entitled to you, that develops as insecurity. And the higher of entitlement, the higher the insecurity when the individual don't receive it. So when a person is beautiful on the outside, inside, the higher the self-entitlement energy is. And the higher the self-entitlement energy is, the lessens the outcome of a person being able to meet a person there and that nature. Right? So for the most part, a person starts to lack experiences of meeting anyone in that area and things of that nature. And then it becomes a person who creates self-sabotaging energy, and then they be the most insecure in the world, and they beautiful. And then you'll be from a distance with like a intimidation energy of why you don't approach. But at the same time, you'll be questioning why this person's single or why they not with no one. And it's because they're in the same position as someone who may not even look at their facial features as beautiful. Because it's just like a rich person and a broke person. We're all in the same situation. So what we do is how we do it. You could be 100 there or you could be 1,000 there. It's just your problems that you develop from it becomes more. Not the position, the problems. You see what I'm saying? So, a person who's 100,000 there might got a $60,000 bill that goes towards their house, and a person who's 1,000 there might got like a house, a utility bill that's $300 or something like that. Yet both individuals still gotta get that check. Now, one person might develop more stress than the other because they have to do more things to get that check. So the richer individual is responsible to do more things because they're responsible for more objects that they bought with that thing. So even though we all in the same situation, the person who's doing more in the same situation develop more trauma also. So when you put this in the context of someone who's beautiful, they also going to develop a more higher sense of entitlement, and the higher the entitlement, it lessens of who can match that higher sense of entitlement. And when you can't find no one who match that entitlement, that's when you have to lower your standards a little bit. And then when you look at yourself being beautiful, you start to question yourself, why do I need to lower my standards? And that could go on for 10, 20 years to the point that you didn't have no relationship your whole life, and then you just an old hag and can't get one. And now you are a single woman, INDEPEND. You didn't die with that. Nobody was at your funeral. You thought your mama was going to be there, and you forgot your mama was on this earth before you. She died before you. There ain't going to be nobody at your funeral. All I'm saying. So y'all got to be careful. But that's the esoteric knowledge behind why you are experiencing certain energies and things of that nature when it comes into sun, my Leo sun signs out there, and lioness, sis. Anytime it's hard to be accepted or liked, is because you're in a situation of not dealing with the opposite energy. There's no association. There's no communication. You're not associating yourself. You're too busy trying to set the stage for your own appearance without appearing on the stage with others, without being an appearance in a show at times, aka giving other people attention and things of that nature for their star roles of their movie on what they want you to pay attention to. We could always blend in and make movies together. How you think they made the Avengers? You gonna get your little Spider-Man movie again? You gonna get your little Wonder Woman movie again? Your Captain Marvel movie again? Your you know what I'm saying, your Iron Man movie again. But, when it's time for us to come together as the Avengers, you know what I'm saying, show up. Stop being Wolverine, all puns intended. You know what I'm saying? Stop being Wolverine and things of that nature, or Raphael from Ninja Turtles, and always trying to separate and things of that nature, or Tomb Raider. You know what I'm saying? And because when it's time for another person to take a star role, you're supposed to accept that. So when it's time for you to have your star role, and when we had Avengers and we're having a scene where Iron Man or Captain America is the most important of the scene, okay, you have people who's open enough and feel comfortable playing the B role. You know what I'm saying? Because they can look in the future and be like, okay, this Leo would do that for me. They got energies like they did it before. Y'all Leos don't show that sometimes. Y'all Leos get away with it because y'all got good characters sometimes. So y'all create a stage, and the way the stage was started, people be automatically the B-roll, and then they get you wet because they be like, yeah, you gifted, but then y'all take advantage of it, and then once a person realize we ain't gonna never have no like, you know what I'm saying, no Avengers, we ain't gonna never have that, or something like. Eventually you start seeing that is just a bunch of solo movies. Then you don't even have no B-list roles, C-list roles. Then your next movie be about how you destroying everybody, and ain't nobody else in the world. You just Thanos in the world by yourself, and really you just really secretly venting like Chris Rock. You really want people to be in that movie. You made up a movie about how you destroyed it, and this is a movie only about yourself. And you really want people to still watch it. How? You can kill everybody. So y'all Leos ain't nothing for real. Y'all Leos really ain't nothing. But at the same time, y'all love y'all from the bottom of my heart if you watch my channel. But yeah, that's why you're in a situation where it's hard to be accepted or liked. Because you're not putting yourself in a situation where you want to play a B role at times. You think it's always supposed to be the A role, B-list actor or actress all the time. I say, who you think you is? Denzel Washington? Who you think you is? Whoopi Goldberg? Oh, real stuff. Well, you must think you Jim Carrey. I'm saying real stuff. You better get out of here. You better book your neck. It's gonna be trouble. Real stuff. You think you is Sandra Bullock? Oh, sad real stuff. You think you is? Oh, sad. You ain't no A-list actor. Play the B role sometimes. Play the C role sometimes. Real stuff. What's homegirl name? Who you think you is? Pam Grier? Sam, who you think you is? Pam Grier? Sit yourself down. You ain't the A-list actress, bitch. You better sit down somewhere. You ain't Pam Grier. You is not Foxy Brown. I'm saying real stuff. Now, check this out. Moon and Leos, right? With Moon and Leo. Now, anytime you are experiencing situations where it seems like people are trying to put you in a position like your emotions is too dramatic or things of that nature. And you might think you got a whole justified cause of why you being dramatic and stuff like that. Pardon me. Anytime somebody got you in that situation, it's due to the fact of you're not observing them from the perspective of being in the audience. And the movie that you're playing, aka however you express your emotions, you think it's a romance. You think it's an action movie or something like that. So you can just be purely telling a story, but you like animated and stuff. And you might have a person start giving you some negative energy in some way, aka a person saying you too strong, aka you too dramatic. And there ain't even no energy towards them. They might be telling you to calm down. You in the middle of telling the story, they tell you to calm down. It gets you all unexcited to even tell the story. Finish it now. Because you're like, oh, why this person trying to like tell me how to tell the story now? Like you start dealing with that now in your mind. It's like you start scratching your head, your little lioness Leo head. You're like, wait a minute, why is this person trying to, let me tell the story the way I'm trying to tell. Then you like end up not even wanting to tell the story. You might even still finish the story, but you might put like little lies in it that sound like it's the truth, but it's really you secretly putting them in the narrative of the story. So like in the story, it's something that goes against what they just did. You know what I'm saying? But you make the story fit just right in the story that you want to finish. So they can low-key take offense in their mind like, oh, I just did that to them. But I'm going to let them finish the story. You know what I'm saying? Oh, you ain't that like a Leo. Y'all know how to create stories. Y'all know how to create good stories. Good stories. Good stories. So it's like real stuff. But for the most part, y'all, every time y'all seem too dramatic, it's because you're not observing the shoes from the audience, aka the listener at the moment. And sometimes somebody mama probably just died or something like that. And I don't know, but I don't even want to say that. But like a person could be going through something personal, right? Let me get that out of my mind. But a person could be going through something personal and you take it personal. Your pride get hurt and you think they're feeling a certain way because of you. Then you start to be in a mood yourself and match that energy, and the energy ain't got nothing to do with you. I was just like, y'all need to chill. Mercury and Leo, right? This is going to be your ideas. Anytime your ideas are seen too expressive and things of that nature, right? It's because in the conversations that you're having, sharing ideas, you're not assessing the full conversation or what another person is saying. And a person is feeling that way. So a lot of things that they're throwing in the conversation is based on that to continue the conversation. And then y'all start arguing the wrench that the person threw in there for you to actually listen to what they're saying. Then you start to argue with them that you actually is listening to what they're saying. Then before y'all even get back to the regular basis, the argument goes to you trying to explain how you understand what they're saying, and them trying to explain, wait, let me tell you what I'm actually saying, and things of that nature. So a lot of times when you get in those kind of situations, it's because as you're not looking from things and from an objective perspective. So sometimes you have to find yourself to jump out of your own mental stage too and stop trying to dominate conversations. Venus and Leo. Anytime you're experiencing your love language being too extreme and it seems like you're always creating toxic relationships, why freeze? And it seems like you're creating toxic relationships, and somewhere deep down inside, you like it, you dealing with an issue right now. Now, for the most part, you need to start being observant, because the relationships that you're developing is really a situation that you don't need to like, because it's always going to be situations that can't necessarily help you in the long run. And you just being wet off the moment based upon the energy is given and stuff like that. So this is what makes Leos all over the place in love too when it comes to Venus and Leos. So anytime you are experiencing that and things of that nature, it's because you're not associating yourself too much with other people's love language. You're not thinking about another person's love language. You're too busy showing yourself and waiting for someone to get excited the way you're showing yourself of how your love language work without considering another individual and things of that nature. You're too busy trying to suck people in your lost la la land Charlotte's Web of how you want this love to be and how you're trying to attract it with this character and the illusion, other than reciprocation on another person's love language and how can that match and things of that nature. You're not even considering these people. So a lot of times you don't never manifest a genuine relationship either. Because you'll have somebody who actually do get wet off your character. And then once that delusion fade, they figure out self-sabotaging ways to escape. And now your little old lioness pride get hurt. Being a Leo Venus. And then somehow, some way you get like murderous thoughts, like you want to go blow up their job or something like that, or you want to go burn down their house or something like that. Hey, chill that little Venus and Leo out. Chill out. Now, Mars and Leo, right? Yeah, I'm glad y'all told me to split this up. Mars and Leo, right? Being seen to attention seeking. So with the Mars and Leo, anytime you start to appear too attention seeking and you don't know why you getting this response from other individuals and things of that nature, it's because you're not associating your passions and motivations with an association with others, or you're not having those type of communications, air, Aquarius, with others to make people feel like whatever you're doing is not attention seeking or is not a way to try to force everybody to do what you want them to do and things of that, based upon you having the best idea to go about it. Like a lot of times Mars and Leos would develop situations where even if you do got the best idea to go about a passion or something like that, a person wouldn't even give you the satisfaction of going along with it because of how you act. And a person would think in their mind like, yeah, that's a good idea, I would support, but just how they act, I don't need me supporting something just for them to be bragging about it every day, how they did something and they using this, like, you see what I'm saying? So a lot of times you miss the point of why you would still create a situation of a person looking at you like you're being too bossy or something like that, even when you don't think you are, because you will express a good idea to do something, so a person will be all aboard. But when you see them slowing up and you can't figure out why, it's because you're being too overwhelming and not knowing how to harness that Leo energy. Now, Jupiter in Leo, right? This is going to be anytime you are experiencing being isolated, because, you know, the Leo fire, it's the fixed fire. It's the campfire. It doesn't like to be isolated and no one at the camp without no marshmallows and stuff like that. So anytime you are experiencing being isolated and there's no audience for your stage, 9 times out of 10, you didn't associate or think clearly enough or communicate with enough people to have something a part of your stage. AKA, no one knows what you're doing. And you can't think someone automatically know what you're thinking and know what you're expressing. And when you have Jupiter and Leo, it's extreme. So a lot of times you be thinking you can create a stage or audience or get attention from the comfort of your home, from the comfort of sitting on your butt and not even doing the things that get attention. You'll be thinking that you're supposed to already get attention. Let's say you want to do something online. If you got a Jupiter and Leo, it'll make you lazy to a certain degree. A fire will have to be set up under your butt. Somewhere deep in your mind, you'll be developing some weird wisdom like, yeah, I'm the best at this, even if you haven't done it, right? Then once you get fed up at seeing other people doing what you developed in your mind, what you're best at, then you would try it online. And then you won't get the results because you're not even having the consistency. You just now doing it. But in your mind, soon as you do it that 1 or 2 times, you think it's the best thing ever. But you don't get the results of it being the best thing ever. So then you put yourself into a situation of isolating yourself from that thing, and anytime you see someone in that thing or someone around you bragging about someone else in a better position in that area you wanted to be in of that thing, you end up being extra moody, extra emotional, trying to prove yourself and all this extra stuff and stuff of that nature. So a lot of times you have to be careful that Jupiter don't overexpand your circumstances where you end up being in a situation you have to isolate yourself. Leo and Saturn, right? Now, what Leo is, and did I say Jupiter was exalted in Leo? It ain't exalted in Leo, but it just expands it. Jupiter is exalted in Cancer. Now, Saturn in Leo, right? This is going to be anytime it's hard to ground your creativity or make money off of it or be solidified. in some way, shape, or form, or put yourself into a circumstance where it's hard to create a stage that you could ground yourself and force you not to have to do other things in your life that take you away from being able to materialize from your creativity. Anytime you're in that kind of situation, it's because you're not seeing a reality of what you are associated with. You may be associated with a lot of dreams that you know don't work, associated with a lot of people who are unsupportive, associated with people that just give you attention, but may not necessarily be the actual support you necessarily need. It's just a comfort zone at the moment. And being a fixed sign, you have to learn how to get out of fixated, stuck, or stable or stubborn situations at times to build consistency elsewhere. And a lot of times these are the situations you're going through. You're lacking the Aquarius energy there. All right, last but not least, we're going to get that mega Virgo. I don't know why is they messing with my numbers on this channel. Leave my channels alone. Yeah, I need a female channel real fast. Because they're not going to do that on the female channel. I got too much work out there, so me just making appearances and stuff like that ain't enough for them to go ahead and put that in the algorithm too. So it'd be like me starting over through the feminine energy. And I'm an Aries. I like restarting stuff. All right, Virgo's ascendants. Now, Virgo ascendants, right? Now, anytime you're in a situation where you feel personally rejected for work duties, having a schedule, a job, or your responsibilities, because it's your ascendant, your personal life, not your wants and needs, but your personal life. So anytime you feel personally rejected and you don't see this materializing to help you with your personal interests, and you feel rejected from work or responsibilities, or you're always in a personal job you don't want, or you always got personal responsibilities it's hard to take care of, or it's hard for you to even obtain responsibilities in some way, shape, or form, this makes the Virgo energy worry about life and things of that nature. Anytime you're in this type of situation, it's because you're not utilizing the opposite energy. You're not having no dream, imagination, no fantasy, or no wisdom and knowledge, or your education, Jupiter and Neptune, in no form of a routine or pattern. You lack some form of consistency. You lack the ability of planning. You lack the ability to even participate with these things. You lack structure. You lack worrying about the right things. So a lot of times your worrying goes straight towards material or maternal before worrying about the dream and imagination and seeing if that flourish. So a lot of times, anytime you are experiencing being a Virgo ascendant and you start to feel personally rejected from work and responsibilities via people, places, and things in your life, it's due to the fact of you personally are lacking the ability of planning, or scheduling, or creating a routine or consistency around your imaginations or dreams or fantasies, because you're too busy worrying about other things that you think you need first to participate with that. Now, Virgo sun signs, right? Now, with the Virgo sun sign, now, anytime you're in a situation where you're being seen as too negative or too worrying, even when there's things to justify the worry about, but it don't appear that anybody else around you is worrying about it, so you feel like it's a necessary need to throw in your 2 cents, right? For the most part, anytime a person give you a negative energy, even when you just do that, you're in a situation of whatever you're putting your 2 cents in about, it ain't got nothing to do with the intuition of something. And a lot of time, a person may be in a space around you of going more on the intuition other than the logic of something, and they have already got the logic dealt with. It's just before they can even reach that position or have that discussion, they're trying to deal with the intuition first as a calculation. And if you don't give a person that time, because you always worrying about something and you're looking at everything as an instant and thinking something get ready to go wrong, a lot of times you manifest a situation where your actions appear to others as you being too nerve-wracking, or you doing too much, or we don't need to think about all that right now. Like you'll make a person tell you that and stuff, being a Virgo sun. So anytime you are experiencing that, it's because the things you're worrying about sometimes ain't even about the imagination at hand, the dream, the Pisces energy. You know what I'm saying? The fantasy. And sometimes as a Pisces, as a Virgo, due to your upbringing, as a sun sign, you may lack the fantasy of something. You may lack the imagination of something. You may have been raised by parents or something like that. So the only thing your actions and what was expected from you was the going by things by the book. You know what I'm saying? And stuff like that. So when it's time for you to get older and go through life, teenager and adult, and it's time for you to have to utilize an imagination so you can start to have actual other things going on for you in life, you may lack that and start to worry about, is life right? Because when you lack that, and then you start to look at what you did by the books, you start to look at your relationships or the job that you do got and things of that nature as not enough. But then you don't even know what else to go towards to make something greater, aka the lack of the imagination. Then that might start to develop as a trauma on family and friends that they didn't know no better. But since you was taking a lot of traits from them to secure yourself from being naked as a spirit, a lot of times by default, it became you having no one else to blame. So at the same time, you have to go a shadow work to know not to cast all stones at them unless it's needed through the conversations and they're not aware of what trauma that they're into, and God can use you as a vessel to wake them up. But if it's not those positions, that's spilled milk. Don't cry over spilled milk, and do some shadow work to know that, okay, well, now is the time for me to be aware of my own stuff and let go of these old moral systems and things of that nature that's no longer working or beneficial for my life at the current state. So being a Virgo sun, you go through a lot of this, and hopefully you don't do that so long. Throughout months and years, you develop a physical illness and end up getting cancer or something like that, or diabetes or something like that. It's real easy for Virgos to catch those type of illnesses and stuff like that, and sickle cell and all kind of stuff. So it's important for you Virgos to get a healthy spiritual system also, and start to take that warrior energy and direct it in the right area. So it don't be directed in the area that's just dealing with life, and do you got it together, and is it perfect or not? Those type of worrying thoughts lead to bending in and mental illnesses and physical illnesses. The other worrying, when you direct it towards, okay, let me put a little faith into what I did put on the calendar, but let me put faith in that it's going to be okay and things of that nature. Those don't bend in and become physical illness. Those bend in and become situations outside of you that build more security where you don't have to worry, or the percentage level of worrying is a lot more less. Now, Virgo moon. So for my Virgo moons out there, right? Anytime you are experiencing a situation where it seems like you can't emotionally connect to your duties, your responsibilities, especially if you got children, and it seems like it's hard for you to connect with your children or something like that, or it's hard for you to connect with your job, people, places, and things, or things that's mainly predicated on your responsibilities, things you do on a day-to-day routines and patterns. Anytime you're in that kind of conundrum and things of that nature, it's due to the fact of what you're emotionally connected with that has something to do with your responsibility is not the emotional connection. So if you got children, it's hard for you to emotionally connect with your children because the way you connect with them is through the premise of I provide. You know what I'm saying? Oh, I got this so you can eat, you can make a turd, so that's why you're supposed to love me. Not you gave them some wisdom or some intuition so they love you for that. So it's just an add-on to you providing to the table, providing on the table for them, not just using what you could provide for them to listen. You get what I'm saying? Y'all Virgos sometimes as parents, older parents and things of that nature. And my mother Virgo. But like I said, a lot of times, but this in everybody's life and things of that nature. It comes to a situation, Virgo moons though, right here. My mother a Virgo sun, but just Virgo moon specifically, right? You can't emotionally connect, but it can play out for all Virgo, sun, moon, and ascendant. Y'all really, like, when I'm breaking down, you really can see this in all your planets in your life, but you really see it heavy how we broke it down for all these. But back to Virgo moon, right? That's why you can't emotionally connect to things of that nature, because your way of connecting is not on the basis of the water. And that's what connection needs to be first. Remember, water didn't land on Earth. Earth got shaped and formed and materialized out of water and things of that nature. So water actually shapes the cup. Then once it's the cup, it can support the water. So a lot of times you may get it backwards when it comes to being a moon in Virgo and things of that nature, because you're trying to bring some foreign thing and things of that nature. So when we pour any fluid in it, it ain't even a right shaped type of cup. So we like, what is this? Can we drink out of this? This is a fish tank, or this is that? What kind of thing is this? So you're unshapely, you're unformly when it comes to your emotional stance, and your way you express your emotions is based on a form that's unformed, aka based on how much money you gave to somebody, based on how much you supporting them or something like that. It ain't got nothing to do with the emotional connection. And then you're going to meet those situations where it's time for you to get back the same energy you gave. No one is there to give it to you. And see, a lot of times you be helping people who are in need based upon thinking this is how you're developing love. And a person ain't going to turn down when they're getting help for what they need, nor are these the same individuals that you supposed to expect to help you when you in need, because the reason they're in need in the first place is you around non-useful mother truckers that you just create as lost causes and think you need to help them for the rest of your life, and you can't barely help yourself. So you got to be careful being a Virgo moon too with those kind of energies. You will have a job and find yourself working for your bills and that family member, working for your bills and that friend, working for your bills and that relationship. You know what I'm saying? You got to be careful being a Virgo moon. All y'all Virgos really, but specifically Virgo moons, what we talking about right now. So you got to utilize the opposite energy and things of that nature. Start when it comes into the Virgo moon, and people you can emotionally connect. It's because you're not necessarily connecting on the intuition part of the attribute, the Pisces attribute of it, right? Where a person feel cared for, whether you had the object or not. Therefore, when you manifest more of those type of people, you manifest people who can actually help you, because you didn't manifest the people that you wanted to like you based on what you did for them to like you. You manifested people who just like you to like you, and if it can be helped, it can be helped. You know what I'm saying? So keep that in mind also. Now, when we comes into when we get into Virgo Mercury. Now, Virgo and Mercury, right? This is when you can't think properly in convos. So let's say you're having conversations with individuals, right? But it's hard for you to think properly of what you want to convey, what you want to conversate with other individuals and things of that nature, right? So this puts you into a situation where anytime you're in a situation where it's hard to communicate with others, oh, it's good. I'm in the middle of live. Yeah. So when we start to talk about Mercury and Venus, this puts you in a situation where anytime it's hard. Oh, let me go back. Anytime you're being seen as too argumentative. So anytime you're being seen as too argumentative, this puts you into a situation of, because you ain't talking about no creativity. You ain't talking about no imagination. You ain't talking about no fantasy. You're talking about gossip. You're talking about other things, or you're around people that's talking about gossip, or they're talking about things that's too reality based, or things that's talking about scheduling and stuff like that, and not just going for something. So it leaves you in a subconscious mind where you constantly have to worry about something, even when you're not looking at it as it being worrying. For an example, you could be having a conversation with someone about something creative, about some imaginative and stuff like that, right? But the way y'all having that conversation is in a constant state of, okay, but what is it going to take to get it done? But what is this going to happen? And this kind of conversation could be a conversation that y'all smiling in and stuff like that. But the way the conversation is structured is subconsciously trained into how this going to work. What time, with this frame. So it ain't got none of that Pisces energy in it. So even though you think you're having a good conversation because you already the Virgo and Mercury, a lot of time it's still using a spell of self-sabotaging and things of that nature. All the way to the point that later on down the line, y'all might reach a conclusion to talk yourselves out of not even doing that anymore, based upon how much y'all talking about it and analyzing it and having a good time by pondering over things using Virgo terms that's actually self-sabotaging. So keep that in mind also. So when we start talking about the Virgo energy and things of that nature, right? Anytime it's in Mercury and you're seen as too argumentative, because the things that you're talking about is not things that could take the conversation into a better place. And it's too hard-based, earth-based, reality-based, to the point that builds frustration and things. So be careful of that too. Now, Venus, Mercury. Venus and Virgo, right? Anytime you're in a situation where it seems like it's hard to let me go. Anytime you're in a situation where it seems like it's hard to talk your way in it. Oh, that's Libra. Ooh, let me go back. All right. Anytime you're in a situation where, and then let me go back. Okay, yeah, Mercury can't think properly in convos. Venus. Okay, Venus. Anytime it seems like you're dealing with hardship when working out love, right? So all my Venus and Virgos. Anytime you're in a situation where it seems like you're experiencing hardships when it comes to working on love, and it seems like you got to do a lot of things for the love to manifest or for your marriage or something like that to continue to work or something like that, and it seems like you're taking a short end of the stick or whatever like that, it's because of how these things were started. It wasn't started on actual love or actual connection or the actual emotions. It was started based upon who had the car, who had the job, who had the security, who had the stability, who had the mental conversation that can make a person feel secure around them and things of that nature. So it was more predicated on that. It wasn't more about what love actually is and both people being into the same things of that nature. So a lot of times that's what you are experiencing when it comes to Venus. So you have to utilize the opposite energy, which is Pisces. Make sure that you're acting out more on the inspiration or the dream of it. Don't just be looking at a person trying to jump into a love interest or something like that based on their pockets, their wallet and their purse and stuff like that. Because a lot of times this is how you manifest wrong individuals too. Because what you fail to realize being a Venus and Virgo is people put a lot of work in to obtain the things what they think other people care about in this world. And a lot of times a person who is in that position, they be lacking in other areas or toxic in other areas and things of that nature for them to even do that on an extreme level. And you being a Venus and Virgo, you may not have the emotional intelligence and things of that nature to be aware of that. So this will be what you're looking for. And then you will find somebody who meet the requirements of the Virgo, Venus and Virgo love language and got a good pocket or something like that, right? And then end up being in the most toxic relationship ever in some way, shape, or form. So you or dealing with the most damaged people in the world and stuff like that. So you have to be careful being a Venus and Virgo. Now, Mars and Virgo. This is going to be not having a desire or passion to work on something. Right? So if you got Mars in Virgo and you're in a situation where you don't have the desire or the passion to work on things, or you don't have nobody there to give you that idea or something like that, it's because you lack imagination in some way, shape, or form, or you're around peers or family or friends or co-workers that don't have no good imagination in some way, shape, or form. And they're more predicated about reality and structure and money and stuff like that. So when you're around too much of that energy and you got Mars and Virgo, a lot of times that's why you are experiencing a lot of situations where it's like you don't have the desire to work on anything, or you don't have no desire and you're forced to just do things that you don't necessarily want to do just based on your desires. And it's based on what you in and shit like that. What the hell is that? Man, this is sacred, man. You can throwing up my vibe and shit. Got people in here listening to me and my shit. Who's that? This is exclusive, man. Oh, shit. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what y'all be in y'all own minds. Yay. Virgo and motherfucking goddamn it, Venus and this bitch. Mars. This is not having the desires and passions to for things, and that's why you might not be experiencing too much of the opposite Pisces. Yeah, turn me off, homeboy.
She can't see you.
I don't know.
They can't hear you.
I don't know what that is, man. That throw me off though. Like, damn, I'm trying to kick some good game and knowledge, man. You couldn't hear with technology. I feel you though. Let me finish this real quick. All right, yeah, but let's check this out, right? So for the most part, Virgo and Mars. If you experiencing having a lack of passion or motivation or some goddamn thing and like that nature, it's because of that. You need more imagination and fantasies and passion or dream world, dream time. You too structured on money. You're around too many individuals that's structured on time and reality-based type things. So for the most part, that like throw you off, and that's why you experiencing having a lack of passion or motivation. Now, Saturn and Virgo. All my Saturn and Virgos out there. Now, peep game. Not having nothing stable to work on. So anytime you're in a situation where you ain't got nothing stable to work on and stuff like that, that means you planted bad seeds. So you lacked imagination and you lacked structure in your life. So you was in a situation where you was around others that ain't had nothing to work on, or they had jobs and stuff, but it wasn't predicated on imagination. It wasn't predicated on a dream. It wasn't predicated on a fantasy. It was more predicated on this. Oh, I thought that was a person. I didn't know that was recording.
Ain't nobody doing that.
But anyway, it was predicated on other things like trying to deal with life. It wasn't predicated on an imagination or a goal, Walt Disney like energies that we could create as a corporation to make some money off our artistic minds and shit. I mean, and stuff. I forgot it's the friendly channel. But at the same time, yeah. So when you got Saturn and Virgo, anytime you're in a situation where you not having nothing stable to work on and things of that nature, is due to the fact of you not having an environment surrounding people around you, or you not spending your mind on having something imaginative or creative for you to start gaining structure around that you can make more money off that, other than having to go get a job to look a certain way based on people and what they expect from you, that take you away from your mind being used on things that deal with, like, imagination, creativity, and fantasies and all kind of imaginations and stuff. So basically that's Aries through Pisces, and we're gonna run down Libra through not Aries through Pisces, Aries through Virgo, and we're gonna run down Libra through Pisces tonight at 10 o'clock. So I guess we're gonna be on this channel too. I guess we ain't gonna be that ratchet. You know what I'm saying? But other than that, yeah, go no further than that. And I love all y'all from the bottom of my heart. Go no further than that. See y'all at 10.